Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto was believed son of Artemis. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by UCHIHASKITSUNE22 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. The last thing I remember was getting a lightning-covered fist through my chest, Kurama's voice shouting to hang on that he would try to keep me alive, then nothing but darkness. Naruto was lying unconscious at the edge of the river in the Valley of the End while Kurama tried to heal the hole in his chest that the last Uchiha put with his Chidori when a bright light appeared at the foot of the valley where two people stepped out. One was a tall man with hair as black as the coldest night and eyes as black as obsidian rocks. He was dressed in a standard issue Anbu pants and shirt with a helm imprinted in the back of his shirt, a sword dangling from a belt in his hip, a staff on his left hand, and a helm that kept on changing forms and seemed to suck in the light. This was Hades, god of the underworld and wealth, and Naruto's grandfather. The other form was a 5 feet tall woman dressed in a green dress and a white shirt underneath it. She had auburn hair and silvery eyes that shined like the moon, and a silver bow was slung across her back, a pair of hunting knives in her hips. This was Artemis, goddess of the moon, hunt and the wilderness, chastity and maidenhood, and Naruto's mother. When Artemis saw the prone form of Naruto bleeding out, she rushed to his side to check over him, while Hades looked around the valley and was impressed by the destruction his grandson could cause, until he sensed a presence approaching rapidly towards their position. When he turned around he saw the last student of his dead son. Kakashi was following the scent of Naruto along with Pakin, hoping to arrive in time to help capture his wayward student and help to bring him back to the village. When he arrived at the valley he was surprised by the destruction and could identify the effects of his Chidori in the valley's walls. When he spotted Naruto's body near the river being treated by a woman he instantly recognized he paled considerably, but when he turned to the other figure, he paled even more recognizing his sensei's father, bowing deeply to both Artemis-sama, Hades-sama, what are you doing here? I thought you promised never to set foot in this world ever again, since the Kyuubi attacked and Minato-sensei died sealing it in Naruto. He said hoping to get some answers or simply survive the encounter to report the failure of the mission to Tsunade so she could help Naruto. Artemis ignored the appearance of Kakashi in favor of cutting pieces of ambrosia so she could feed it to her son and help the Kyuubi speed his healing. After force feeding him small pieces she took her canteen and poured down his throat some nectar. When she was done healing her son, she started to cut off his clothes and gazing like only a mother could to his still sleeping son. Hades, seeing his niece tend to his grandson's wounds, decided to answer Kakashi's question. We came back to pick Naruto and take back with us so he can be with his family and maybe find some happiness in our world. Besides, between you and me, I'm hoping that if we bring Naruto back, Artemis will start to open up a little towards our family again and not just her hunters, he said and ended in whispers while Kakashi started to snicker at the somewhat laid-back attitude his sensei's father acted. It reminded him how his sensei used to be when out of missions and hanging around the village. So this is the last time we get to see Naruto around this world? Kakashi asked with a bit of sadness in his voice, knowing this could be the last time he saw his student and little brother. No, he can come back anytime and bring friends if he wants, but first let's take him back to the village to let him rest and say goodbye. While he does that, uncle will take some jutsu scrolls so he can learn them back home. Won't you, uncle? Artemis spoke for the first time since she arrived with a smile towards Hades, who could only nod at the tone he heard from his niece. It's good to see you again, Kakashi-kun. How have you been? Hope Jiraiya hasn't corrupted you like he did many men back in Konoha. Kakashi could only sweat and tried to hide his icha before she decided to go over his stuff in search of the book again. The trip back to Konoha was uneventful, well as eventful as it can be running away from a pissed mother when she found that Kakashi tried to slip his book in her baby boy's hip pouch, thinking it would be the best spot to hide it, thinking she wouldn't go and check her son's pouch. Yep, a nice quiet run back to the village. When the gates came in sight, Kakashi dropped down to the main road with Artemis glaring at him and Hades snickering quietly trying not to get his niece angry at him. They saw that a crowd had formed at the gates with Sakura, Tsunade, and the rest of the rookie 12 that weren't in the Sasuke retrieval mission. Kakashi walked straight towards Tsunade with Sasuke's hit I-8 and handed it wordlessly to her without looking towards Sakura, knowing she would try to pin Sasuke's leaving as Naruto's fault. When Tsunade saw the hit I-8 she had a sense of fear, thinking that Naruto died trying to bring the traitor back, but when she was about to ask Kakashi about Naruto, he simply stepped out of her vision and pointed to the two new figures. Artemis was staring at the girls with a critical eye and tried to assess the potential they had to see if she could recruit someone so Naruto wouldn't be too lonely, while Hades decided to look around the village his son and grandson grew up until he saw that Tsunade was staring at them with wide eyes, tapping his niece in the shoulder and pointing towards Tsunade. Tsunade, I'm good to see you again after so long. I see you took the old monkey's job, finally, he said with a smirk towards the gaping Hokage. Tsunade-sama. Is that really you? You don't look a day over 30. How did you do that? Artemis practically shouted in the same way the villagers heard Naruto shout his dreams shut up Yugaki. You shouldn't ask that to me, Tsunade answered with an embarrassed face. What the fuck is going on? Who the hell are these people and why are they carrying the baka? And where is Sasu-kun? The conversation was interrupted by a screech that made many cringe in agony, while some glared at the girl that didn't know who was in front of her. Forehead, shut up, don't you know that is Uzumaki Kushina, the red hot-blooded habanero, and that is the silent one Namikaze Hades, the father of the Yonde Mino, answered with exasperation in her voice toward Sakura, not seeing the look Artemis was giving her. She is also the second strongest woman in the elemental nations, just behind Tsunade-sama, Tenten added with stars in her eyes, while looking at Artemis's weapons, knowing they would be of great quality. Sakura was stunned at the information she just heard and just decided to shut her mouth and would beat Naruto when he woke up for failing in bringing back her Sasu-kun. The next day Naruto woke up to the bright ceiling of the hospital and remembered failing to beat Sasu-kun, failing his promise to Sakura. He heard the door of his room open and saw Tsunade and Jiraiya walking in, followed by a man and a woman. He simply stared at them, trying to assess if they were here to hurt him or what. Naruto, good to see you awake. I want to introduce some people to you, Tsunade said when she saw that Naruto was awake. Bachan. Hiro Senin. Good to see you, he said towards them with a smile that reminded everybody in the room of Minato. Artemis and Hades were laughing at the tick marks that appeared in Jiraiya and Tsunade's face at the nicknames Naruto had for them. Damn Yugaki. Stop calling me old, a pervert. They shouted in unison at the smirking Naruto. Anyways, this woman here is Artemis and the old man over there is Hades. They are your mom and grandfather, Tsunade stated bluntly, while Naruto gaped at the information he just received. He never noticed when the woman moved from her spot by the door until she was hugging him like a lifeline. He started to tear up, feeling his heart complete again when she hugged him and started to hug her back with as much strength as her. When both felt being hugged by the man, Naruto felt complete for the first time in several years. Jiraiya and Tsunade left knowing they would need time alone to catch up. After a teary family reunion, Artemis said she needed to go pick up some things and to talk to a few people. While she left, Hades decided to tell Naruto the whole history of their world, knowing he would need it desperately. When they finished, Naruto was discharged from the hospital and Hades decided to celebrate with a meal. Knowing anything he tried to cook would either be uneatable or would burn, he told Naruto to pick a restaurant to eat. After seeing the ramen eating machine that was his grandson and a good talk with one of the few instructors that liked Naruto by the name of Yumino Iruka, they left so Naruto could pack his things for tomorrow. The next morning, Naruto was walking besides his grandfather when he spotted his friends and the rest of the Rookie 12 entering the hospital. After telling Hades he would see him in the Hokage Tower, when he finished saying goodbye to his friends he took off to catch up. The rookies that went in the failed SRM were talking with the rest of the rookies when they saw Naruto entering the room. Ino, being the first one to spot him, greeted him with a smile. Hey Naruto, good to see you up, and running away from the hospitals like always. She finished with a smirk at the scowling face of one of her childhood friends, while Shikamaru and Choji were laughing at the banter between the blondes. The rest of the rookies laughed a bit, while Sakura simply scowled at seeing Naruto, thinking it was his fault. Sasuke ran away from to village. Why are you here, Naruto baka? Shouldn't you be training to I don't know, maybe fail another mission or something? She said with venom in her voice, thinking he came to bug her with another date now that her beloved Sasuke-kun was out of the way. Naruto was hurt by the way Sakura was treating him and wanted to say something, but knew his grandfather and his mom were waiting for him so they could go back, so he decided to ignore her. Well, I actually came to say goodbye to you all. Knowing he was going to get an outburst from Ino, he plowed on. My mom and grandfather came to pick me up so we could leave the village and go back home. I know it's sudden and all, but I will come back to visit someday soon, I promise, he finished saying and looked up to see the stunned faces of his friends and the sadness in Hinata's eyes. It won't matter if you leave or not, Naruto baka, we will be better without you. Besides, I bet even if you leave to train you won't be stronger than my Sasuke-kun. I bet it was your fault he ran away, you and that damn demon fox. She was unaware of the damage she was causing both with her friends and comrades. She would have said more, but she was punched in the face, stunned seeing it was Ino, her best friend since she was a child, just punched her. What's your problem, Ino pig? Why did you just hit me? She screeched, making Kiba and Akamaru to hold their ears in pain while the rest cringed at the volume. My problem is that you just insulted two of my best friends' forehead. I met Naruto before I even met you, and he always stood by my side along with Shikamaru and Choji, so stop insulting him. We knew Sasuke only wanted power to kill his older brother. He is just a coward and a brat that ran away when he saw he was getting outclassed. Ino would have said more when Naruto put a hand on her shoulder and stepped close to Sakura, and without missing a beat, he took his shirt off the Sakura. Is what that team did to me, he said, pointing at the scar above his heart and turning around, showing it went through his back as well. When he rammed a Chidori through my chest while using his cursed mark, he is nothing but a traitor and a brat, he said with an ice-cold tone. He turned around to the others. I've got to tell you guys something. Remember the Kyuubi attack and how the Yondaime killed it? At the nods of the rookies he continued, he couldn't kill it. You can't kill a massive chakra construct. He had to seal it in someone. That someone was me. Since I was a baby I've been hated and ignored, except by a few that see me as me and not the Kyuubi. I tell you this in hope of you accepting me as me, Uzumaki Naruto Genin of Konoha, and your friend, and not the demon fox the villagers see me. As he finished with his head bowed down, waiting for the hate-filled words, but he went wide-eyed when only Sakura looked at him with hate. The rest simply had a smile in the girl's case and smirks in the rest of the guys. Kiba stepped up. It doesn't matter if you have the Kyuubi inside you still, Naruto, my prank buddy and friend, right guys? He turned around towards the rest to see them agreeing with Kiba's statement, and that made him teary-eyed. Well, I think it's time I leave. My mom and grandpa are waiting, Naruto stated, and was turning around when Tenten asked him who were his mom and grandfather. Oh, you saw them carrying me in the day we got back from the retrieval mission, Tenten, and the rookies were stunned. Your mom is Uzumaki Kushina. And your grandfather is Namikaze Hades. Was the last thing he heard before closing the door and leaving for the Hokage Tower. Artemis had made great time going from Konoha to Nami no Kuni in a day to pick Zabuza's sword and prayed to Hephaestus to take the sword and change it so it could hurt the monsters in her world, and knowing her uncle he would make Hephaestus use Stygian iron so it could also hurt mortals in case Naruto came back in the future. Now here she was waiting for her son and the father of the two girls that had caught her eye. After what seemed hours, Naruto came in smiling like a fox who pranks someone. After he greeted Tsunade and everybody in the room, they sat down to talk when Ino and her father came in, along with Tenten and her sensei. Inoichi, Gai-san, good to see you again, how have you been? She greeted her best friend's husband and one of the kids she helped when she was living as Kushina. Kushina-chan. Good to see you too. Inora is great, so can I ask why you wanted to meet with Ino-chan? He greeted back, yes, I would also like to know why you wanted to talk to my youthful student, Guy stated with all the youth he could, in the presence of a legend like Uzumaki Kushina. That is something I really can't tell you as men, but trust me I won't hurt them. They both got the hidden meaning in her words and decided to step out of the office and wait for the girls. Now Naruto and my uncle can stay since they know who I truly am, same with Iro Jiraiya and Tsunade Bachan. Artemis stated with a grin at the shouts of damn you Gaki for making your mom call us that. Turning back to see both Ino and Tenten, she started to analyze them closer. Both Ino and Tenten were confused at seeing the older Uzumaki circle around them with a gaze like a hawk and turned to give Naruto a questioning look, which he simply shrugged his shoulders. Well, they seemed to be hunter's material and they would do good, they heard the redhead say, which only increased their curiosity. What are you talking about? Join what, the hunter nin core or something? Tenten decided to question. When she heard Naruto chuckle, she turned her glare towards him, making him wisely shut up. No, my dear, I mean to join my hunters. My real name is Artemis, and I'm the goddess of the moon, she said, while changing back to her real form, leaving both Ino and Tenten gasping. They could only nod at her and accepted the offer. After saying their goodbyes, both Ino and Tenten stepped beside Naruto, who had changed his clothes to a pair of Anbu issue pants, combat boots, a black vest with several pockets that they figured hold several weapon scrolls that Tenten sold to him, a silver shirt with both his mom's and grandfather's symbols in the sleeves, and a pair of black fingerless gloves with metal plating on the back of them. Tenten could see Ino's hand in the change of outfit and thought her new matron and his grandfather also had a hand if the smirks all three were wearing were any indication. After walking for several minutes, she saw both gods start to glow until right in front of her appeared what seemed to be a mirror. She saw both of the gods walk towards it and step into. She was stunned, but when she saw them beaconing the three of them, she simply shrugged it and thought, I will probably see more weird shit, so it doesn't matter. When the three finally got through the portal, they were amazed at the view of the city they got. It was huge with buildings as tall as the Hokage mountain, and it was all made of metal and glass. The group of two gods, two new hunters and a demigod, were walking down a hill when they spotted a bigger hill with a pine tree at the top. Both Artemis and Hades stopped walking, making Naruto and the girls stop in their tracks. Now son, this is Camp Half-Blood, this is where you will be staying, you will train and make friends, okay Sachi? Artemis said with both love and a bit of pain, having to let go of his son when they finally reunited, but she knew that they would see each other in the winter solstice and would then introduce him to his new sisters. And remember, don't let anybody walk over you, you are stronger, but also remember to be humble and loyal just like my son was. We will claim you at dinner in a few hours, alright? You will stay in your mother's cabin, and remember, Zeus will summon you when he finds out, so stay frosty until then. Hades said while winking towards his grandson, making Naruto chuckle and nod. Well, he hugged his mom and started to walk towards the pine while waving to his friends. When they saw him turn around, Artemis flashed Tenten and Ino back to her camp to introduce them to their sister in arms and Hades back in the underworld to do his work. After a few minutes, Naruto made it to the top of the hill and stood at the base of the pine tree, admiring its beauty when he heard something getting closer to his position from the house he could see in the valley. When he looked up, he saw a centaur. Even after hearing about the monsters and gods, Naruto was still left speechless when he saw the man trot towards him. "Welcome, young demigod, my name is Chiron, trainer of heroes and this camp activities director. What is your name?" The centaur introduced himself while eyeing Naruto, trying to determine his godly parent. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I come from the elemental nations," Naruto said while grinning and walking with a centaur that had a gobsmacked face, which made Naruto laugh out loud. Chiron had heard of the elemental nations from other gods that had visited. He never expected a demigod from that place to come to the camp. Normally they stayed there because they became powerful enough on their own, and the monsters couldn't get to the place, so he simply nodded and gave him the tour of the camp and explained how the things worked. After the tour, he was taken to the big house, where he met the camp's director Dionysus, also known as Mr. D. "What is this Chiron? Who is the brat?" Mr. D said, annoyed as alone time was interrupted. "Mr. D, this is Naruto Uzumaki, the new camper. He just got here this afternoon. He is from that place," Chiron said with a small smile in his face, knowing that would get Mr. D attention. "Really, you are from the elemental nations, eh? What village?" Mr. D said, now curious of this demigod. "Ninja from Konoha, sir." Naruto said while he straightened a bit at the god in front of him. "It's a pleasure to meet the brother of my mother and the god of wine and madness," he finished with a smirk at the end. Mr. D was liking the boy more and more. "So you are from the village Demeter's son builds with the son of Ares, hmm? Well, that is all well and good. Why don't you go join the activities of the afternoon until it's dinner, when we will introduce you to the rest of the camp," he said, while dismissing both Chiron and Naruto, who was led to the practice area where he would join in the archery class with some of the Apollo cabin and the Athena cabin. Annabeth was waiting with the rest of her brothers and sisters for the archery lesson to start. She never expected for Chiron to arrive with a new demigod, but decided to let it go. When Chiron introduced a new guy with a Japanese name, she got curious, but decided to wait till the end to introduce herself and ask her questions. What she didn't expected was to look up to him and blush like she did when Luke would talk to her. She pushed those thoughts out of her mind for a while and tried to focus on the lesson. When Naruto got the bow in his hands, he felt it was good, but not perfect like his mom said it should feel, but thought it must be because it wasn't made for him, so he simply put the arrow in its place and pulled the string. He calmed his breathing like Tenten taught him to do with kunais and shurikens and let the arrow fly. When he didn't hear the rest of the class's arrow to hit their mark, he looked around to see the campers staring at him with wide eyes. He turned around to the target and saw the arrow impaled deep in the bull's eye and chuckled a bit, seeing his mother was right. He would be great with both throwing weapons and arrows. The rest of the class went by pretty fast, and soon it was time for dining. Before he made his way to the dining pavilion, he was approached by the counselor or the Apollo cabin, Lee Fletcher. "Hey Blondie." "No, not you, Michael, the new guy." "Hi, I'm Lee Fletcher, counselor of the Apollo cabin, and was wondering if you knew who your godly parent is," he said while running towards him, thinking he might get a new brother. "Oh well, I'm Naruto Uzumaki and I know my father is mortal and my mom is an Olympian goddess, that's all I know." "Suo, tell me, why does everybody was surprised by what I did back there?" Lee was stumped. "Here was this guy that was good as any of his brothers and makes it look like a big deal." "It's a big deal, man. Normally only a child of Apollo can make those shots, but even the starters don't hit the bull's eye every damn time in their first try." Lee started to rant. While Naruto chuckled at his cousin's antics, he decided to mess with him even more. "Really? Back home everybody could hit a bullseye 9 out 10 times with kunais and shurikens, so that's why I don't think it was a big deal, mate." He loved the way Lee's jaw dropped to the ground. He kept on laughing when Lee catched up to him and they started to talk about the camp and what they did on a daily basis. When they finally made it to the dining pavilion, Lee went towards the Apollo's table while Naruto moved towards the table that Chiron and Mr. D were sitting. When he finally arrived, Mr. D rose from his seat. "Good evening, campers. Today we had a new arrival. He is from a faraway place where demigods become legends without knowing what they truly are. He is from the elemental nations, a war-torn world that is separated in villages and are as powerful as sons of the big three. Please welcome Naruto Uzumaki." Several campers were wondering if Mr. D was screwing with the newbie's name just for fun or if what he said was true about where he was from. "Prove you have this mythical power, newbie. I bet you are just a joke." A guy from the Ares cabin decided to call out Naruto's bluff. "Alright, if you want to see it," answered Naruto with an easy smile that made several girls in the Aphrodite cabin to squeal at how cute he looked, and made his way to a pillar where everybody could see him. He simply put his foot on the pillar and started to walk normally. When he got to the top, he simply cut the flow of chakra to his feet and flipped around. When he was about to land, he turned around to a bigger set of stun-faced campers. I can also do this, after saying that he started to channel his chakra to his right hand to perform his father's personal technique. When Mr. D saw the jutsu, he had one thought, so his son had a son with one of his nieces and decided to bring him here, so he brought a Jinchuriki. What is in the future for us that you saw, Uncle Hades? Well, he was thinking this Naruto had run towards a pillar and pushed the orb into it. Rasengan. And they saw the pillar started to break down by the power of the energy sphere. After he ended the jutsu, he saw that everybody had their jaws on the floor, while a table full with blondes and another with beautiful girls and handsome guys had different expressions. The blondes had a gleam in their eyes, trying to figure out how he did all those things, while the girls in the other table had a dreamy expression and some of the older girls had drool coming out of their mouths. Naruto cursed at that time when he saw the expressions. When everybody was back to normal after the display by Naruto, they were about to start eating food and were finishing offering some food to the gods when the surprises kept on coming that night. Above Naruto, two symbols started to glow. The first was a full moon with a bow and arrow across it, and above that one was a helm circled by a ring black flames. Jiren and the campers gasped at both symbols, while Mr. D was surprised by who his mother was. When the symbols faded, Jiren and the rest of the camp bowed. All hail Naruto Uzumaki, son of Artemis, goddess of the moon, hunt and the wilderness, chastity and maidenhood, and grandson of Hades, god of the underworld and wealth. Jiren bellowed, and before they could move to ask questions, Naruto was flashed away by Mr. D towards Olympus when he received a summons from his father. When Naruto's vision cleared, he saw he was standing in the biggest throne room he ever seen. Even if he had only seen Koyuki's throne room, which of course couldn't compare to the god's throne room, he saw his mother sitting in her throne and saw his grandfather flash by his side with a smirk towards Zeus. Naruto bowed towards Zeus first. When he had paid respect, he turned towards his mother's throne and saw the hunters glaring at him, while Tenten and Ino waving, dressed in the hunter's outfit with several scrolls attached to their parkas. He bowed to the mom. Sisters, good to finally meet you. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. He was cut off by Ino. Oh come on Whiskers, that isn't the real you, she said with a smirk that was mimicked by both his mom and Tenten, and heard his grandfather snicker. Shut up Ino-chan, here I am trying to look cool, and you had to ruin my fun, he pouted, which made several gods laugh a little. Well, now that we are all gathered here, Artemis, Hades, please explain why the both of you broke your vows over the river Styx, Zeus ordered his brother and daughter. When Artemis and Hades had finished explaining what had happened him, so you brought the Jinchuriki here so he could have what we call a normal life, because he was hated by the majority of the villagers except those two girls in your hunt. Hera asked with a hint of approval at the way both Hades and Artemis cared for their family, even if Hades only showed it towards the boy and his wife. That is the truth why he is here, though Artemis took advantage of the trip to bring in new blood to her hunt. Hades answered, well, he might have a better life over here, but if I may ask for something, Zeus asked after getting a nod from both. Athena, please check the seal that is holding the Kyubi. I know you have a bigger and better understanding of seals than any of us. At Athena's nod, she made her way towards Naruto and asked him to show her the seal and lay on the ground. When he took off his shirt, the majority of the gods and the hunters cringed at the scar that was above his heart. Where did you get that scar, kid? Ares asked, knowing that if the kid could survive that wound, he was both a powerful ally and a great sparring partner. I got it when I was sent to retrieve a friend that ran away from the village to gain more power. He rammed his lighting-covered fist through my chest. If I hadn't deflected it with my jutsu, he would have made my heart implode. He explained the battle while Athena went over the seal. When she finished, she told him he could stand up and put on his shirt. His seal is perfect, nothing can make the Kyubi escape the seal, they are tied together, and unless he releases the seal the Kyubi will never get out, Athena said, while both Hades and Artemis had proud smiles. I knew my boy was incredible with seals, but he excelled himself with this one, Hades stated, making various gods chuckle. Well, that's good to know that I can actually let Kurama out if I'm about to die, Naruto stated, not so quietly as he thought he did. When he didn't hurt anything, he looked up to see the gods with a questioning look. What? Yes, I can talk to the Kyubi. His real name is Kurama, and we've been friends since I was 5 years old and has kept me alive in more than one occasion, he said with pride, knowing he was one of the few to actually make the strongest of the Biju to be friendly. When the meeting was over, several gods left for their temples. Zeus left after giving Naruto a warning for the future because he could feel something big would hit both worlds and his blessing of safe passage through the sky. Hera simply smiled at him and left, same with Demeter and Aphrodite. Poseidon also left after talking with Naruto a bit and seeing he had an affinity towards water that made him smile. Hephaestus left after giving him 2 packages and wishing him luck in his life. Ares left after shaking hands with Naruto and saying that they should spar, and if he wanted he could teach him a lesson or two about swords. That made Naruto smirk. Dionysus left after he was told that Artemis would return Naruto back to camp later, so he left to see his wife before he had to leave. Hermes left right away because he had to do some deliveries. Athena left after giving Naruto some scrolls on sealing that she kept from back when she studied under Mido Uzumaki. Take care, young demigod. I hope you do well with those scrolls just like your father did, and look after my daughter Annabeth for me, please, she said before flashing away to talk with Annabeth before she went to sleep. The only ones left in the throne room were Apollo, Hades, Artemis and her hunters, so they decided to talk more in Artemis's temple. So when were you planning on telling me that you had a son? You are a mean little sister, you know that. Hiding the fact I had a nephew hurts. Apollo started to cry while holding Artemis in a bear hug, which made Naruto and Hades laugh while the hunters scowled at Apollo. Artemis hit her brother upside the head and glared at him. I hid him from you because you would have tried to either corrupt him or spoil him, and besides, you wouldn't have been able to know of him until I got him back from Konoha anyways. Now that he is here and you can get to know him better, but try and corrupt him and I will make you suffer, she said while she stared down her twin. Apollo could only nod in fear and knew she would go through with her threat. Now girls, ask all your questions, and please one at a time. She turned to her hunters and sat down with them. One girl with a tiara in her head, signifying she was the second in command, decided to speak for all her sisters. Milady, how can you be so calm about this? He is a boy, you shouldn't have claimed him. He could be just like the rest of the men, a pig-headed bastard that only thinks about himself. Before she could continue she received a punch in her cheek and felt the tip of a knife at her throat. She looked up to find herself pinned to the ground by the two new girls that came back from the elemental nations. Don't talk about my brother like that, bitch. He is not like the man you might have met before. He always puts his family and friends before even in a mission. We helped smoke out the perverts in the village and tagged them so we could beat them up, the blonde one told her, while the brunette poked the knife's edge against her throat. He saved me from being raped one night. After that he walked me home and was attacked by the guy's friends that decided to get revenge on him for stopping him. He took a kunai to the thigh, pushing me away, and another through the hand, so you better shut up and get to know him better before you speak about him. And with that said, both got up and went to sit by Artemis, who looked ashamed at the way her lieutenant spoke before she even met him. It went like that, several more questions that she answered with both Ino's and Tenten's help. Good to meet you, nephew. It's good to see Artemis open up to us a little bit more, and before you start saying anything here, look at this. Apollo handed him a mirror, and what he saw made Naruto gasp. His cerulean blue eyes had changed. His right eye was obsidian black, while his left one was silver just like his mother's eyes. His hair had lost some of his spikiness and fell down to his shoulders now, and it looked orange. He couldn't help but smirk at how cool he looked now. Now tell me more about yourself, little nephew. And with that Apollo got to know who truly was his nephew and knew that great things would be in his future and that he would find love pretty soon. When the hunters had finished their questions they decided to follow Ino's and Tenten's advice of knowing their Mr. Son, which made both Ino and Tenten smirk, knowing that Naruto would have them warm up to him in a few moments. And after a few hours had gone they knew they had won when they saw several hunters being more comfortable around Naruto and even accepted being called big sister, or in the case of the younger looking little sister, even Zoe Nightshade had warmed up a bit towards Naruto. When Ino started to pester Naruto to open the gifts Hephaestus gave him, and he tried to run away from her shouting to let him go or he would prank her, even if they weren't in the same state, she didn't let go until she had Tenten hit him upside the head with her bow staff. He finally started to unravel the packages. The first one surprised him. He saw it was a beautifully crafted silver bow that reminded him of his mother's bow. When he turned to show it to her he saw the smirk. It seems Hephaestus came through with one of the favors I asked him. It will transform into a smaller form, so you can carry it around everywhere, and the mortals' metal detectors won't be able to pick it up. Now open the bigger one, dear. With it he put down the bow and walked to the bigger package and started to unwrapping it. When he finally got the paper of his breath hitched. He recognized the sword, and the way Tenten had stars in her eyes, he figured that she recognized the sword. It was a 6-foot-tall sword that had a hole underneath the tip of the blade and a semicircle by the handle. He recognized it from his past battles against the sword and its demon of a wielder. You remember it? Good, I saw the battle and went to get it before we left so your grandfather could give you a gift. I know you will make great things with that blade by your side, he heard his mother say behind him. He smiled towards his grandfather and thanked him. I gave Hephaestus the Stygian iron it's made of now, and here, use this to keep it secure to your back. He gave Naruto a belt with a slot perfect for the Kubikirabacho to fit and not move with every step. The next morning he woke back in a cabin he didn't recognize. When he was looking around he saw two cabinets, one tall around 6 to 7 foot tall and a long one made of glass. He saw a note attached to the long one. Dear Sachi, I sent you back to your cabin back at camp when you fell asleep, admiring your new sword and bow. I set it in the tall cabinet next to this one along with your bow. It also contains several kunais, arrows, and shurikens all made of Stygian iron and chakra metal, so you can combine your elements with them. Take care my dear, we will see each other again. Love. Mom. He smirked and went to check his weapons cabinet. When he opened it his jaw dropped, he literally had an armory in the cabinet. He smiled while grabbing kubikiri and went to practice with it. When he arrived at the arena he started to warm up. After an hour of warming up he started to do some slashes trying to get familiar with the sword's weight. After he finished getting used to the weight he heard someone clapping. He turned around and saw Ares and a girl her age which he guessed was the war god's daughter. Lord Ares, what can I do for you this morning? Naruto asked with a polite bow which made Ares smirk, knowing the kid was acting like this because his favorite daughter was with him. At ease Naruto, you don't have to act like that just because my daughter Claris is here. Now I brought her here because she is the one that will help you in wielding that big ass sword of yours, and with his part said and done he left in a spiral of fire. When Naruto turned to greet the girl he started to sweat at the smirk the girl had. Alright, let's get started, Claris said with a sadistic smirk. Time skip. 2 years. Grover was in the back of an old Camaro where his best friend and his mother were arguing about him going to a camp where he could train and his best friend not wanting to leave his mother. They barely noticed the lighting that fell in front and sent them spiraling out of control and into a ditch. Grover was losing conscious when they saw someone ripping the door off and started to pull them out. The figure gave Grover a square of ambrosia which helped Grover stay conscious. When they started to climb the hill towards the pine tree they saw the foe that was chasing Percy and his mom decided to buy them time. While she was evading the Minotaur Percy and Grover made it to the top of the hill. She lost her focus when Percy shouted to run and get to the top with them. When she was grabbed by the meaty hand of the Minotaur, she turned her head to look at her son for one last time and she uttered her last word go. And she disappeared in a shower of golden dust. Grover, take Percy into the big house, make sure Annie or Chiron look him over for any injuries to the head. Go. And with that he knocked Percy out with a chop to the neck. When he saw Grover cross the property line he pulled kubikiri off its belt and started to advance while the Minotaur bellowed and charged him. The last thing the Minotaur felt was a slice through the chest and then nothing. Naruto got off his crouching position and started to walk towards the pile of dust that used to be the Minotaur and picked the horn that was left behind as spoils. He walked towards the big house to say that he was back from hunting with his sisters when he was tackled by a blonde blur. He looked down to see Annabeth Chase, daughter of Athena, start to check for injuries in his body, either from hunting or the Minotaur he didn't know and wasn't about to ask. When she was satisfied that he was in perfect condition, it's good to have you back Whiskers, I missed you and so has your best friend, so tell me where did Lady Artemis took you hunting this time? She said the words best friend with distaste thinking about the daughter of Ares Claris LaRue. He smiled at her overprotective attitude and he loved her for it. He knew he wasn't alone in this world. It was great, we went to Yellowstone Park where we looked for bears and 1 or 2 mythical monsters. You looked over the kids' injuries. He changed the subject, wanting to know if Grover would finally get his searcher's license. The next morning when Percy awoke and remembered what had happened to his mother, he was about to cry when he heard the door open and a blonde girl with storm gray eyes and around his age and another blonde guy with an obsidian black eye and a silvery eye entered his room. Oh good, you are awake, now what's your name and age? The older blonde asked with a contagious smile that eased Percy's worries. I'm Percy Jackson, age 12 he said while looking around the room when a glass with what looked to be lemonade appeared in his face. Come on, drink up kid, it will help you heal, the girl said with an irritated look while the guy nodded at him. When he started to drink he tasted his mom's homemade blue chip cookies. So how did it tasted? The girl asked with curiosity shining in her eyes. He started to look guilty at not saving any for them to taste. Like my mom's homemade cookies, he said with a small voice. Alright, that's good, see Annie, I told you he would taste his home and not those candies that Grover found in his backpack. At this Percy's eyes widened. Is Grover okay? Where is he? Percy started to freak out hoping nothing bad happened to his best friend. Calm down kid, Grover is fine, he is outside by the strawberry patch, but first you got to meet with Mr. D and Chiron. And with that he turned on his heel and left the room followed by the girl. Trying to know more about the people that apparently helped him, he tried to start a conversation with the girl. So your name is Annie? Or it's just a nickname? He asked, a bit nervous when she turned her gaze towards him, thinking she was angry and wouldn't answered, but was surprised when she did. It's just a nickname that Naruto gave me when he first arrived here after I questioned him about his past, and since that day he has been calling me Annie and well it just stuck, but only him can call me that. Annabeth answered Percy's question. Anything I should know before I do anything stupid? Percy asked, hoping to get some kind of heads up. If you run into Naruto's best friend, don't insult her or her cabin, she will attack if you do so, that is all the advice I can give you. And with that she left with the guy he now knew was named Naruto when he turned around and recognized the wheelchaired man sitting in front of him. While Chiron was trying to convince Percy that the gods were real and that his father was one of them, Percy kept on arguing that he didn't believe in the gods and that he was just a normal kid, well as normal as an ADHD and dyslexic kid can be. Naruto was walking with Annabeth talking about some buildings he had seen while traveling both back in the elemental nations and here in the US. So care to explain better what is going on with Luke? Naruto questioned out of the blue. Annabeth stumbled up on her feet while trying to recall everything that had been going on with Luke. Naruto knew that Annabeth had a crush on him, he knew he had feelings for the younger blonde, but was afraid of what they were and what could happen should he act on them. He would be making several IM that night. After he listened and stored all the info on Luke's strange behavior, he found Grover practicing with his reed pipes. Naruto was fond of the somewhat clumsy satyr, so they became good friends after they talked a bit. Naruto's attitude made Grover be a bit more confident with his abilities and to always strive to become better. So Grover, what did the council said about your latest guardian task? Naruto asked the satyr, who after screwing up in a note in the reed pipes, pulled a little plastic card. They said it was an amazing feat even though you helped at the very end. They liked the way I carried myself. I'm officially a searcher just like my dad and Uncle Ferdinand. When Naruto finished gawking at his friend's new searcher's license, they heard something explode by the toilets. Naruto, did you left one of your exploding tags flying around again? Grover asked while he turned to look at the disbelief in his eyes. They sprinted to where they heard the explosion and gawked at the scene they walked in. Clarice was happy, her best friend came back last night after defeating the Minotaur. She was hoping to get back to training with him and he was one of the only guys at camp that could give her a real challenge with both his ninja techniques and the skills he had worked for 2 years. She saw the princess arguing with the kid that Naruto saved and she knew it was her duty to give him a welcome to camp gift after he insulted her father and knowing by the face palm the princess did that he was warned and now was free game to beat ups. She never expected to be blasted away by water when she tried to give him a swirly as both initiation in camp and payback for the insult to her and her father. Damn you Percy. I will kill you. You hear me? She started to get up and charge when she felt herself being dried by a warm draft. When Naruto and Grover arrived they say a drenched Clarice cursing at a shocked Percy while Annabeth tried to dry her clothes a bit. Naruto decided to help his best friend and made some hand seals and blew a warm draft of air to help Clarice dry. Alright, what is going on here? Annie, what the hell happened? Naruto questioned the only neutral party. Before she said answered his question she asked him if he could dry her up. After several hand seals and a few minutes, Annabeth answered. Well, Percy here has made 2 of the biggest mistakes you can make. When first arriving to camp, he made an ass of himself in front of cabin 11 and after I took him out of there and was explaining the things Clarice decided to introduce herself in her usual way and Percy insulted her and her cabin. Percy thought that he did nothing wrong, he was confused and mad. Confused because nobody would tell him when he would be claimed and mad because this bully that reminded him of Nancy Bobofet decided to pick on him for being the newbie. When he saw Grover and the guy from earlier he was glad and thought that they would make Clara stop. He was confused when the blonde guy Naruto, if he remembered correctly, started to wiggle his hands and push them towards Clarice. He was even more surprised when her clothes dried and he started to question what happened. Before he could explain himself he asked Annabeth. When she finished explaining he saw Naruto turn towards him. Alright, look Percy, there are several things you should know before you keep on making an ass of yourself. First and foremost, never, and I mean never, insult cabin 7 or their dad. They will beat you until you are but a smear of blood. Got me? When he received a nod he continued. Second, never insult the girls in camp or anywhere in my presence is okay. At the questioning look he got from Percy he elaborated, just like my mom, I hate sexist males and rapists. You insult any girl and I hear about it, you will regret it, he said and turned around and left towards the arena to practice. At night after dinner and everybody had gone to the campfire, Naruto left to the edge of the woods. He felt at peace and decided to unseal the guitar his uncle gave him as a birthday gift. The next day, Naruto made his way towards his ancient Greek class with the Athena's and Hermes cabins. He was dead tired. He made several IM to both his mother and sisters and his grandfather, knowing that if he tried to contact either Jiraiya or Kakashi, he would regret ever informing them that he liked a girl, so he also called Tsunade looking for advice. When he arrived he saw Percy sitting next to the Stoll brothers and walked over to them. Boy. Percy, watch out for these 2 guys, they are known for their pranks and talent to pickpocket anybody that comes near them, he said with a smirk towards the Stoll brothers that paled at the sound of his voice. Naruto was the only one in camp that could keep up and even outprank the Stoll brothers. Well, if it isn't Hunter boy. How was the trip with your sisters, man? Travis greeted while Connor shook Naruto's hands. Well, we will talk later guys, Naruto said. After talking with the Stoll brothers and Percy he started to walk away. The first week Percy was at camp he felt he finally belonged somewhere. He made friends and started to train in the different activities the camp gave. He knew the cabin counselors were keeping an eye on him for any activities he was good at. Archery was a no-go when he saw the way Naruto and several other campers did it. He tried but failed miserably. Running was also a no-go. The dryad that taught the class beat him every time, saying that she had a lot of practice running away from lovesick gods and satyrs, wrestling well whenever he stepped into the mat. Claris would pulverize him. The same happened when he practiced with a spear and shields. The only activities he seemed to be good at were the ones that involved water like swimming, diving, and most recently canoeing. It was finally the day when he would have his first sword lesson with the Hermes cabin. When they got to the arena, Luke made them wait by the stands. Percy was confused by the action and decided to get near the railing to get a view at what was going on. What he saw made his jaw drop and his eyes to almost pop off his head. Naruto was swinging a huge ass sword around like it weighed nothing, and he was fighting Claris and two of her brothers. Percy looked around the arena and saw the rest of the Ares cabin either bruised or being treated by some of the Apollo campers. "Alright Claris, let's end this." After he said that, he jumped back to avoid a shield bash that one of the remaining guy attempted, forming a hand seal and lifting it above his head. He said Kurigakur no Jutsu. What happened next made Percy's jaw drop even more. Mist was forming out of nowhere and started to surround the arena. Several other campers tried to look through the mist to find either the Ares cabin or Naruto. Claris cursed in her head when she saw Naruto form the hand seal. She had been there when he was training to master a technique he said was called silent killing and had helped him to master it. She tried to steady her breath and listen where her remaining brothers were. She heard footsteps behind her. She turned and thrusted her spear to the figure she figured to be Naruto. When the figure dropped unconscious, she got near it. What she saw made her eyes widen and curse yet again the technique. Several moments and 2 thumps later, she figured she was the last one of the Ares cabin standing. She heard footsteps again, in several directions with no real pattern. It made her nervous, and she ended making a mistake. She closed her eyes for a second. The second she opened her eyes, she was leaning heavily in her spear, and the mist was dissipating. She saw Naruto standing in front of her with Kubikirabacho pointed at her. "Damn you, hunter boy. And damn your damn mist technique." Everybody in the arena chuckled at that phrase that the daughter of Ares had started to mutter and bellow from time to time for a year straight. "Well, you must also hate the silent killing technique my grandfather made famous back home, don't ya?" Percy heard Naruto tell the angry girl. "Luke, who is Naruto's grandfather? And who is his mom?" Percy asked Luke, trying to know more about the enigma that was the blonde with the huge sword. And what did he mean by the technique his grandfather made famous back home? Luke smirked at Percy's curiosity getting the best of him. "He is from another world, where the demigods can become as strong and powerful as some gods. They have control over different elements. From what he has told Annabeth and me before he came here, he was already a well-known soldier in his village and a recognized hero in another country," Luke told a gobsmacked Percy. "I'm the son of Artemis, goddess of the moon and hunt. Well, my grandfather is Hades, god of the underworld." Percy heard Naruto's voice behind him. He turned with a shocked expression, trying to figure out how he got up the stand so quickly. He finally gave up trying to understand and left with a chuckling Luke to learn how to use a sword. That afternoon, Percy found that Luke and Naruto were two of the best swordsmen in the last 300 years and saw that he could be as good as them if he had a balanced sword. Friday night came and the camp was in an uproar because that night would be the first capture the flag of the summer. The Ares cabin and the Athena cabin were the holders of the flag since the last game back in Christmas before the winter solstice. The Ares cabin made an alliance with the Dionysus, Demeter, Aphrodite, and Hephaestus cabin, while Athena allied themselves with the Apollo and Hermes cabins, with several privileges traded: shower times, chore schedules, and the best slots for activities. The two biggest cabins in the whole camp, and with Artemis cabin, several campers speculated that Annabeth, the counselor for Athena's cabin, had a massive crush on Naruto. While there were several other theories, that was the most common and the one that made Annabeth blush like a tomato whenever she heard it. "Campers, arm yourselves." Chiron called to the assembled campers and waved his hand, making the tables be filled with each camper's armor. When Percy saw what he was supposed to wear, he turned to Luke. "Are we really supposed to wear these things?" he asked to the older camper, which laughed a bit. "If you want to survive tonight against your new best friend, yes you should, especially the shield," he said with a mischievous smile. Percy dumbly nodded his head and started to suit up with Luke's help. After he finished strapping the armor on, he turned to look at the rest of the campers. He wasn't surprised when he saw both Aphrodite and Demeter Kid simply move over to the stands to watch the game. After a week, he figured out that the Aphrodite campers were always gossiping or trying to play matchmaker most times, always trying to pair Naruto and Annabeth, and barely did anything dangerous. And the Demeter campers, even if they did more activities, they focused more in helping out in the strawberry patch. He turned to look at the table he knew Naruto ate, and what he saw surprised him. After Chiron made the armors appear, Naruto turned to see that his armor looked like the ones Anbu back home used, a gray flak jacket with his family symbols, metal arm guards, and metal shin guards. After he finished strapping the flak jacket, he put Kubikiri in a seal and hanged his bow and arrows instead, while his hunting knives were attached to his hip like his mother. "Blue team, forward." Annabeth called and started to walk towards the woods. Naruto fell in step by her side. "You ready for this, Annie?" he asked, knowing Annabeth had a plan to make capturing the flag easy. "What's the plan?" Before she could answer, Percy came tripping on his own shield. Naruto chuckled and kept quiet. "Hey, glad you wanted me on your team, so you got any magical items or advice you can lend me?" Percy asked Annabeth when he was able to reach her. He saw her move unconsciously towards her Yankees cap. "Just look out for Claris's spear, it can give you quite a shock." "Has Luke given you your job?" she answered while she kept her eyes on the road. "Yeah, border patrol, whatever that means," Percy said, trying to figure out what would be the next step they would take. "Good, just stand by the creek if you see anybody from the other's team, try to keep them at bay. Naruto will be close by scouting," and with that said she walked further away from the stunned boy. When both Naruto and Percy were situated by the creek, Naruto started to walk up a tree to take positions. "You stay on the ground, I'll give you cover from the trees," he called down to the nervous preteen. "And don't worry, you won't get killed, hurt maybe but not too bad, so keep your eyes open." After a few minutes they heard a horn signifying the start of the game. When Percy heard something rustle and thought he heard a growl, he was going to go check it but was interrupted by the arrival of 5 Ares campers and Claris. "Cream the punk," she bellowed, and her brothers circled Percy. Percy was nervous. He was surrounded by 5 campers and thought he was dead meat. He took out his sword and got ready to try and defend himself. The first camper charged and made a vertical swipe towards Percy, who deflected it as best as he could. While he was busy with the first one, the others started to take turns to get in his guard and take shots. After a few minutes of this, Percy started to see a pattern and started to counterattack. He got cut deeply in the arm and was pushed to the creek by Claris. "The flag is over there," he said while crawling towards the water. When he touched it, he felt something course through his veins. Naruto was watching Percy and the Ares cabin fighting. He knew he should have jumped to help but decided to see what Percy could do. When he felt a surge of power coming from Percy when he stepped into the water, Naruto's eyes widened. Even he broke the oath. "Damn it, this is bad." He decided to step in and help give Percy a fighting chance. Burigakure no Jutsu was the last thing one of the Ares campers heard before his world went dark. The rest of the Ares kid got nervous. They hated this technique. They started to hear footsteps coming and going. Percy saw the mist rolling in like he saw back in the arena and was glad for Naruto's help. He also heard the footsteps coming and going. He tried to still his breath like Luke taught him when you fought blind. After a few moments the mist rolled away and Percy only saw Claris standing with her eyes shut and straining to hear where Naruto attacked from. When she opened her eyes, she cursed the demon of the hunt had gotten to her brothers. She turned and saw Percy standing with more confidence. She knew she could beat him and thrusted her spear crackling with electricity. Percy parried the spear but felt his arm go numb and gasped. Seeing the tip of the spear crackling with electricity, he started to avoid the thrusts Claris made, trying to not get shocked again. Claris was getting annoyed and angry at the newbie avoiding her. When she thought she saw an opening, she took it to end up overstepping the thrust. Percy, trusting his gut, sidestepped the thrust and slashed at the spear underneath the electrified tip and shattered it. Claris was shocked both by the backlash of her spear breaking and what Percy had done. When she was about to maul him with her fist, she saw a sight that made her eyes widen. Luke was running at full speed with several Apollo campers keeping her cabin mates and the Hephaestus cabin back. She tried to step out of the ditch but couldn't move. "Well done, kid, you helped a lot this night," Percy heard behind him. When he turned, he saw Annabeth and Naruto literally materialize themselves in front of him, Annabeth putting her Yankees cap in her back pocket and Naruto rising from the shadows. "You set me up, didn't you? Both of you knew that Claris would come looking for me, so you could send Luke by the side to get the flag," Percy shouted, annoyed at being used as bait. "I told you Athena always has a plan," Annabeth answered with a smirk. "Besides, I was about to step in when the demon here appeared to help you," she said while pointing at Naruto. "Why did she just call you a demon?" he questioned. This guy kept on making no sense to him. Naruto chuckled and was about to answer when Annabeth gasped and pointed at Percy's arm. "How did you do that?" she asked while pointing at what used to be a cut. Percy shrugged. "Sword cut," answered simply. "No, it used to be a sword cut, now it's just a scar. Come step out of the water." Percy, tired of the game and wanting to go to bed, did as he was told. He never expected the gasp from Annabeth. "I immortalis," even he broke the oath. "Naruto, you know that this means, don't you? You spend more time with the gods than any of us." Annabeth started to rant. When everybody heard a growling sound coming from the near outcrop of rocks. What the camp saw made some of the younger and newer campers to piss themselves. The older campers tried to calm them down. When Annabeth saw the Hellhound, she started to have flashbacks to when she first met Thalia and Luke. She saw that it had its sights set on Percy. She shouted at him to run when the Hellhound pounced him. "Heal." The campers heard a rather demonic voice. They turned to the source and saw Naruto, but it was a different Naruto. His orange hair looked spikier and wild. His eyes were red and slit like a fox. What happened next surprised others. He pointed to the spot in front of him, and the Hellhound complied. "That's a good dog, now why are you here? And go back to your normal size," he said. The campers saw the Hellhound snort a bit, but complied to the orders Naruto gave him. After changing to the size of a German shepherd and staring right into Naruto's normal eyes, he turned around and started to melt into the shadows. "What was all that about, Naruto? I know that you are the grandson of Hades, but how were you able to make that Hellhound stop?" Chiron questioned one of his best students. He was not as surprised as several of the campers when they saw Naruto transform. "With a little bit of help from Kurama's influence and my heritage," he stopped. "It also helps that he belongs to me as a pet, a birthday gift from Lady Persephone," he answered, while shrugging his shoulders. "Besides, you should take a look at what Annie and I found out of our new camper." He pointed towards Percy. When he said that, the whole camp gasped once again, but at the sight of the light shining above Percy's head. "All hail Perseus Jackson, son of Poseidon, god of the sea, storms, earthquakes, droughts, floods, and horses!" Chiron bellowed and kneeled, as did the rest of the camp. He saw Naruto smirk and thought he must be laughing at my face. He glanced around the campers and saw the most had their jaws in the floor. He could only stare at them until the light faded. "Alright campers, enough excitement for one night, go back to your cabins, it's past curfew. Percy, let's go pick your things from the Hermes cabin and move them to your father's cabin." And with that said, Chiron turned and trotted away with the rest of the campers. Percy turned and saw Annabeth and Naruto still there gazing at him and whispering. "So now what happens, besides being all alone in my own cabin?" Percy asked, walking towards the two blondes. Naruto putted a hand in his shoulder. "Now you train to better yourself. I feel you will need it, and more if what my gut and Kurama is right. Put this night in the back of your mind and focus on your future," he said, before walking away with Annabeth. The following day, Percy was awakened by a loud banging in his door. He turned to look outside the window and saw that the sun was barely rising. He cursed and went to see who was banging at his door at the crack of dawn. His eyes were blocked by the fabrics that were thrown in his face. He took the clothes and glared a bit at the sight of the two blondes. He came to see his friends. Naruto was standing in his door with Annabeth waiting at the steps for them. "Come on, get dressed in the clothes I gave you, and be quick, we are losing sunlight," Naruto said with a smirk on his face, and closed the door. After waiting for a few minutes, Percy came out with a pair of shorts and a simple t-shirt. "So you think there will be a quest issued for whatever has been stolen? Or you simply want to leave and go hunt with your sister and leave me us again?" Annabeth said with a little sadness in her voice and a blush towards the end of her statement, barely catching her slip, praying to both her mother and several other gods that Naruto didn't catch her slip. "Yes, I feel that a quest will be issued, for what I don't know yet, we will have to wait and see. But trust me, Chiron knows that our names are at the top of the list," Naruto said, not noticing the slipper the blush Annabeth sported. When they heard the door open, they stopped talking and started to walk towards the arena. Percy was rubbing his eyes while cursing Naruto for waking him up so early. When they arrived to the arena, Percy saw that a table was filled to the top with different type of swords and other assorted weaponry. "Alright, first warm up, let's run 10 laps around the arena and we will move on from there, okay?" Without waiting for any confirmation, he started to run with Annabeth hot on his heels. Percy was stunned, and after seeing them start, he ran to catch up. He was about to catch up to both blondes when he saw a sight he never expected. Claris was running by his side. She turned to him and nodded. Percy could only nod back to her and keep on running. After they finished running, Naruto had them doing push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, and stretches. "Now that we are done warming up, Claris here is going to help you with the shield. Gods know that you will need it in the future." "And Claris teaching like you taught me," Naruto said while Annabeth pulled a set of knives Percy had seen Naruto use sometimes. He turned to see Claris smirking at him and tossed him a shield. Let the torture begin, and Percy felt cold sweat run down his back. When the rest of the camp woke and went to eat breakfast, they saw a sight that had repeated itself twice before. Percy laid his head in the table, barely able to lift the fork to eat. After the beating Claris handed it to him, Lee went up to him with a small jar in hand. "Here, use this, with Chiron's help and my dad's blessing I made it after the first few training sessions Claris and Naruto had. I swear Naruto's bruises had bruises and Claris was cut all over her body. I tell you, those two are crazy with their training regimens," he said while laughing at the look of astonishment Percy had. "I went against Claris for 2 hours straight, nothing but shields. I feel my bruises will be the worst I ever got," Percy said while crawling towards the cream Lee gave him. "Those two can do that, they are like brothers and push themselves to always improve, and those around them are the ones that get in the crossfire," Lee finished while laughing and left to get breakfast. Percy left after finishing his breakfast to rest a bit before his other activities. Later that day, after Percy finished sparring with Luke, who decided to help him with his swordsmanship, he sought Annabeth in hopes of finding out why everybody started to avoid him, whisper behind his back, and point at him. When he found her, she was throwing knives that glowed a dull bronze in the sunlight. "Hey Annabeth, can I ask you something?" Percy, when he saw she had thrown the last knife, after her nod, he continued. "Well, I was wondering why everybody started to avoid and point at me when I walk by." He asked her with some uncertainty in his voice. "It's because of who your father is, they see you as someone else, more powerful and with a bigger destiny than anybody. They see Naruto the same way, and more because of his past. In time you will get used to it, for now just focus on your training, anything else." She answered after taking a sip of water. She had been practicing for several hours with the throwing knives Naruto got her, one of the gifts she held closer to her all the time. "Well yeah, it's about your weapons, why do they look made out of bronze?" He questioned while pointing towards the knives. "I mean yeah, they look cool, but why bronze?" This made Annabeth smile. "That is because they are made of celestial bronze, one of the only two metals that will hurt monsters. Celestial bronze will harm monsters and other immortal beings and are durable, they don't break easy." She answered with a twinkle in her eyes. "You mentioned another type, what is it?" Percy asked. He was starting to like and appreciate the knowledge of his new world that Annabeth could provide. The twinkle in her eyes dimmed a bit and she hesitated to answer. "The other type is rare and I have only seen 3 others that use it. It's called Stygian iron, it can hurt your common monster and the immortals," but she stopped a bit until they heard another voice. "It can also hurt mortals. It is the deadliest metal you can get here, but also the rarest, you can only get it in the mines of the underworld. Only 3 use it, 2 are hunters, and the other is a camper." They turned to see Clarice walk towards them while she explained. "Princess here has never seen what Stygian iron can do, that's why she faltered in her explanation." "Can you tell us more about it, Clarice? I know the people that use it, but I haven't seen them since the solstice." "You have," Annabeth told Clarice. Her thirst for knowledge made her forget that they could ask Naruto about the iron. Clarice thought it over and after a few moments nodded and sat down. "It's deadly to both mortals and monsters because of its origins. It is said that the iron sucks the light around it and makes the one bearing witness to it suffer of shivers and cold sweat. Both Ino and Tenten have their arrows, hunting knives, and other assorted weapons forged of Stygian iron. Tenten is deadly with thrown weaponry, while Ino can be deadly in close quarters or when she can catch you unawares," she said, fond of the memories she made with Naruto's sisters. Percy was speechless. The deadliest metal known to demigods was in the hands of 2 girls that were already deadly without it. Why would they have their weapons forged to also hurt mortals? From what I've heard, they only hunt monsters. Why would they use weapons that can also hurt mortals? Percy asked with concern in his voice. "Because they are from the same world I'm from, they were my friends during school and my comrades in arms during my career as a shinobi. When my mom brought me here, she also brought them when they showed more promise to join the hunters than anybody else in my village." "You were telling them about the Stygian iron, weren't you, Clarice?" They heard Naruto answer and walking to stand in front of Percy. "Our weapons were forged with Stygian iron to hurt monsters, both the mortal ones in our home and the immortal ones in this one." "You have killed before?" Percy shouted in surprise. "How? Why?" Before Percy could continue his rant, Naruto raised a hand. "Yes, I killed before, the first one to defend myself and a friend, the next ones, well, we were in a war, so it was kill or be killed, and let me tell you, I regret every single life I've taken, but that is the way my world works. It is horrible, but it is the one Ino, Tenten and I were born and raised." He answered with a sad smile. He knew Percy would react the same way when he found out he had killed before. A week went by like that for Percy. He would be woken up at the crack of dawn by Naruto, Annabeth or Clarice and would train until breakfast. Then he would have his camp activities. In the afternoon, more training in swords with either Luke or Clarice, who started to warm up a little to him, and before dinner, Naruto would help him with his water control. Percy woke up to a thumping sound in his door. He opened his eyes to see that he had slept in. He went to see who was trying to kick his door in. "Come on, Percy, Chiron and Mr. D want to talk to you in the big house," Grover stated with worry in his voice and waited for Percy to change so he could take him to the big house. When Percy came out, he looked to see that the sky was black like it was going to rain. It made him remember the dream he had last night. "Do you think it will rain?" "It looks pretty bad," Percy asked his best friend. Grover looked up to the clouds and sighed. He thought either Annabeth or Naruto had explained it to Percy. "It will pass over, no bad weather enters unless Mr. D wills it. Come on, they are waiting for you." The rest of the trip was made in silence. When they arrived, Grover told Percy that he would see him later and left to the strawberry patch. Percy turned around and saw the fire in Mr. D's eyes. It sent a shiver down his back. Well, if it isn't the son of the old barnacle beard," Mr. D said while thunder rumbled across the sky. "Bah, don't think that I will bow to you, little upstart, just because of your heritage. I would have you turned into a bottlenose and send you to your father. I'm off to Olympus for an emergency meeting. If you are still here, I will carry on with my threat, and you would choose to do so because I think it is the most sensible thing compared to what Chiron wants from you." And with that one of the cards turned into a security pass and Mr. D disappeared leaving a smell of grapes. Don't mind Mr. D's attitude, now tell me how did you felt when the Hellhound appeared, Chiron questioned. It scared me a lot, if Naruto hadn't called it off I think I would be missing my throat. Percy answered with a small voice. He was still terrified of the Hellhound and was grateful towards Naruto when he called it off. I was afraid of that because you will face far worse if you accept it and go there. Chiron said with concern in his voice, he knew that if Percy agreed he would be well protected by them, but he still wanted to be sure. Except what, go where? I've barely started training, Percy asked with worry, not understanding Chiron's words. Chiron turned a grim smile and answered. Your quest, of course, to get back what has been stolen. Have you not noticed the climate, how it feels at war with itself, all because Zeus believes Poseidon stole his master bolt with you doing the deed. He also distrusted Hades and his grandson Naruto. Percy couldn't believe it, Zeus was blaming him of stealing his master bolt when he couldn't steal a slice of pizza from Gabe's Porties. Zeus is crazy, neither Naruto or I could have, I was with my mom, and from what Annabeth and Claris have said he left right after the council with his mother. He exclaimed, which made the sky rumble with thunder. He doesn't know that, all he cares is getting his master bolt back before the solstice in 10 days, or war will break, and you Percy will be the first one to feel his wrath. Chiron answered with a grim tone. Percy, do you accept the quest? Chiron asked towards an awestruck Percy. Where should I go? I mean, you haven't even told me how I'm supposed to find this master bolt, Percy answered. He knew this could be dangerous, and Naruto told him that misinformation could get him killed one day. That is the hard part, where you have to go, but first you have to visit the oracle if you do accept the quest. Chiron answered towards a nodding Percy, who nodded and left towards the attic. As Percy climbed the stairs to the attic where Chiron said that the oracle was, he grew nervous. He was about to go on a quest to try and avoid World War III, and if Annabeth and Chiron stated correctly, nobody would survive it. And he would be the first one to suffer from it. As he reached the trapdoor to the attic, he swallowed a bit and pushed it open. As he walked in, he noticed several jars filled with severed pieces from past monsters, from the head of a hydra to other disgusting things he definitely didn't want to encounter. He reached the end and saw her leaning on a three-legged stool. He grew more nervous and he tried to regain his sense of courage. Before he could speak, the oracle opened her mouth and a snake slithered out of it. I am the spirit of Delphi, speaker of the prophecies of Phobos Apollo, slayer of the mighty Python. Approach seeker and ask. Percy swallowed even harder and said, what is my destiny? After several minutes Percy came back and Chiron asked what the oracle had said. She said I would retrieve what was stolen, Percy answered, but Chiron wanted to know what else it had said. What did it said exactly? He pressed, this is important. Percy hesitated before answering. She said I would travel west and face the god who turned. I would retrieve what was stolen and see it safely returned, he answered with a small voice. Anything else? Chiron questioned. Percy didn't want to tell him that a friend would betray him or that he would fail in the end to save what mattered most to him. So he shook his head. Chiron pondered it a bit and nodded. Now Percy, don't worry too much about the prophecy, it usually has double meanings and you won't understand it until it has been completed. Now you must choose 2 companions. Fortunately for you, we already have 2 volunteers. Chiron saw the distress in Percy's eyes and tried to quell it. Gee. Who would be crazy enough to get on this type of things? Percy said while rolling his eyes when he saw Annabeth's form shimmer next to Chiron's, and he turned around with his eyes widen when he saw Naruto come from the shadows. Naruto and Annabeth will go with you if you will have them. Chiron said while Percy was already thinking he could make it with Naruto's experience in the field and Annabeth's knowledge. Sure, but where are we supposed to go? Percy said. He dreaded the answer. When he saw Chiron's tail swish around in nervousness, he swallowed hard. Think, Percy, what monster attacked you in the museum? Who is her master? Chiron said, and Percy felt a bit of hope, maybe he could save his mother and succeed where Hercules and other demigods had failed. You are to go to the underworld, where the bolt might be, and see it safely returned to Zeus. Chiron said he knew Naruto would be vital to the quest. So we take a plane and fly towards. Percy questioned only to receive a slap to the back of the head. Don't be a fool, Percy, your father is lord of the oceans, his brother and rival is the king of the gods, and lord of the skies. You think your mother would let you get into a fucking plane risking your life? Naruto said, knowing how dangerous the sky could be to any demigod except his kids. Alright, already sorry, so we take a Greyhound across America to get to. Percy said while rubbing his head and sending a sour look towards Naruto, who smirked at the look. Yes, you have 10 days until the summer solstice to get from New York to Los Angeles and back safely with the Master Bolt, Chiron answered, while Percy paled. Annabeth breathed deeply and grabbed Naruto's hand to reassure herself and felt far better when Naruto squeezed her hand in return when he grunted he was ready to leave. But we can take you into the city this afternoon so you can take a Greyhound and you can get going. You should go pack. Chiron dismissed them so they could pack. Percy packed what little clothes he had on him in the duffel bag he got at the camp store. Grover gave him a bag with little squares of ambrosia that would help him heal in small quantities and a canteen full with nectar and a bag filled with golden drachmas. Percy didn't know what to do with the gold coins, but he would ask Annabeth later. When he was packed he left his cabin to wait by the tree that housed Thalia, daughter of Zeus. After a while he saw Annabeth arrive stuffing several knives in a case that was in her leg and putting her dagger in the sleeve of her shirt. He only hoped that the knives didn't give them away at any metal detector. Percy and Annabeth made small talk until Naruto arrived and Percy's jaw dropped. Naruto was carrying Kubikirabacho hanging from his back, his bow and arrows hanging from a belt in his waist, along with a pair of hunting knives. He had 2 cases just like Annabeth, 1 in each leg and 2 pouches in his back. "Dude, you are going to war or something?" Percy asked. He didn't have to worry about Annabeth's knives giving them away, it was Naruto's armory that would give them away. Tyron rolled up to them in his wheelchair with Argus, which Percy found out was the head of security. "Argus here will drive you into the city so you can board the Greyhound and keep an eye on you," Chiron said and chuckled at the bad pun he made. Eyes wait up. They heard and turned to find Luke running towards them. "Glad I managed to catch up to you guys, Percy. A lot of hope is riding on you, so kill some monsters for me. And I also brought you a gift, they served me well in my quest," Luke said, while handing a pair of sneakers to Percy Maya, and with that the sneakers sprouted wings and started to flap. Tyron also gave Percy a weapon that finally suited Percy named Anaclysmos or Riptide, while Luke said his goodbyes. Annabeth was talking with Naruto. "So this is my first time out of camp alone, and you are coming along because you believe someone is trying to frame your grandfather?" Annabeth asked to her crush. When Naruto nodded she continued, "And also to look out for me because my mom asked you to do so when you first met her." At his second nod she sighed. She was happy that he was coming along to help them, and she felt herself blush when he told her that her mom asked him to look out for her since they first met. After Percy had gotten on the van and Argus started to drive towards the city, Percy got in an argument with Annabeth that made both Naruto and Argus roll their eyes and cinch, knowing it would be a daily occurrence with the two. When the group finally made it into the city and Argus dropped them off at the station, they decided to pass the time while playing hacky sack with a little ball Naruto produced from somewhere, which made Percy question him even more about his powers. After finding out that Annabeth was the most skilled from the 3, their Greyhound had arrived. They boarded and sat down near the back of the bus when they felt Percy tense at the last 3 passengers that got in the bus. "You said that they wouldn't reform in at least 100 years, or something like that," Percy asked, freaked out. "Yes, but I said if you were lucky, which obviously you aren't. Look, don't worry, Naruto can control them, I hope," Annabeth said with hope in her voice. "They won't listen to me, they might respect me and heed my words, but if my grandfather gave them an order they would see it through to the end." Naruto answered the unasked question. Percy freaked out even more until Annabeth told him to take her hat and get to the front of the bus. With enough luck they would simply ask where he was, and with Naruto's presence, they would leave them alone. Of course Percy decided to screw up the plan when he saw the Furies started to attack his friends and almost made the bus crash. He took of the cap and started to attack the Furies. It helped his friends regain their breath, but also made it that he was trapped without a way to escape. "Odds damn it. What the fuck, Percy, we had it under control." Naruto cursed out loud while pulling a kunai and threw it to the back of the Fury nearest to him that was about to pounce on him. Annabeth pulled her own knives and jumped on the back of the last Fury that had lashed out with her whip and drove her knife at the back of the skull, making the Fury screech in pain and turn to dust. "Get out now," Naruto shouted when the hair at the back of his neck stood up and smell of ozone started to gather in the air. He grabbed Annabeth and jumped out of the bus that seconds later was hit with a lightning bolt. He saw Electo fly off knowing that she would report back to his grandfather. He grabbed the back of Percy's shirt and started to drag him towards the woods, not noticing when a bystander snapped a photo of Percy with his sword out. Night had fallen and Percy kept on arguing with Annabeth of his reasons to jump in the fight. His instincts told him it was the right thing to do. "Annie, Percy, stop acting like little kids, this is serious, we have to find a place to camp so we can rest," Naruto said with annoyance in his voice. He was getting tired of the arguments that kept sprouting. He started to think that this was his relationship with the team. Percy decided to let it go and tried to focus on the road. 5 times he smacked his face into a tree or low branch until he heard both Annabeth and Naruto chuckling until they saw lights ahead of the woods they were. He recognized the type of light anywhere, neon lights, which meant fast food joint. "Can you smell that?" Percy questioned. "It smells like burgers and fries," he continued and started to walk towards the light with Annabeth following, entranced by the smell as well. "Eyes. Wait up, can't you smell it?" Naruto tried to warn them it smells like monsters, but his reasoning fell in deaf ears. "Dude, you must be mistaken, I can only smell burgers and french fries and I'm hungry, aren't you hungry, Annabeth?" Percy said, disregarding Naruto. He was tired, he was scared, and he was hungry. The last thing he wanted was to eat and sleep, and that would be accomplished by eating a double cheeseburger. Yeah, Whiskers, your senses must be clogged from the Furies' attack, besides you should relax a little. There is nobody here to attack us. Come on, seaweed brain, let's get those burgers. Annabeth said without thinking how this could hurt Naruto. She knew he was a great hunter trained by ninjas and skills honed from years of working on them along with his mother. She just wanted to eat and sleep to forget the awful day she had. Naruto just sighed and let the insults go. He knew they were terrified. This was their first quest, and the first time they were out in the world without either a chaperone from camp or their parents. He decided to follow them just to make sure they didn't get in troubles. He tuned out the conversation with the woman that had helped them by giving them free food. He was taking a good look at the place when he felt eyes in the back of his head. Turning around, he saw the statue of a little girl who could be no older than 10, looking scared of something. "Ah, I see you found out that several of my creations don't end up well. The face is always the hardest." He heard a hissing noise, like snakes, and he hated snakes with a passion after the incident with Orochimaru and the sand sound invasion. He ignored his hostess and focused a bit of chakra to his ears and heard more hissing. "What is that hissing sound?" he suddenly asked, making Annabeth look at him with caution. She remembered that Naruto hated snakes and snake-related things after the war he fought in. She tried to focus on the sound, but found out the food was making her sleepy. "Oh, you must hear the deep fryer. You must have exceptional hearing to be able to hear it all the way from here," the woman crooned, making Percy get sleepier and complied to what their hostess said. Naruto narrowed his eyes a bit. He started to rack his brain, trying to figure out who was this woman. Naruto decided to use his chakra to clear up his field of vision like Zo taught him. Grabbing Annabeth's hand in his own, he flared his chakra a bit, just enough to dispel the illusion on him and Annabeth, which in turn made Annabeth jump up in shock abruptly. "We must be going, ma'am. The ringleader must be looking for us right now." "Right, Percy," Annabeth said with worry in her voice. No longer sleepy and under the influence of the mist, she was berating herself for distrusting Naruto's warning. She never noticed she hadn't let go of his hand. "Oh, but dear, you must stay, at least for a picture. It's so rare that I get visited by kids." The woman crooned yet again, which caused Percy to agree to her request. The monster Naruto and Annabeth thought lead them to the back of the warehouse, where she asked them to sit down with Annabeth in the middle still, holding Naruto's hand while Percy and Naruto on her sides. "Alright, look towards me, please, and give me a big smile." "Naruto, look over here to me please," the woman asked. Annabeth gripped Naruto's hand tighter while she prepared to jump and put her invisible cap so she could hide. "Where is your camera, ma'am? Are you sure you will be able to take a picture with this little light?" Naruto questioned, ready to bolt with Annabeth to protect her while creating a clone to get Percy out of harm's way. He knew Annabeth had figured who was the monster, and he would be damned if he let Medusa kill Annabeth. "Enough light to see each other, now look over here please." "Yes, that is perfect," she hissed while reaching to her veil so she could petrify them. When she took it off, she saw the blondes bolting away, one melting in the shadows and the other one vanishing like a mirage. She turned to see the son of her past lover dazed in the floor. She called out to him and would have gotten him to look at her if she hadn't been hit by something. Naruto started to spam clones to hit Medusa while Annabeth got Percy to kill Medusa. He knew he could kill her, but Percy needed to do it. "Come on, Percy, you are the only one that can kill her," Annabeth told Percy, who was shaken out of his wits. "No way, you kill it, or even better, have Naruto kill that thing. His sword is bigger and he has a better chance." Percy argued until Annabeth smacked him in the back of his head. "Get a hold of yourself, Jackson, and kill that monster," Annabeth shouted while handing him a crystal bowl where he could see his own reflection. He started to walk towards the flailing Medusa, who spotted him right away and crooned at him, trying to coax him to look at her again. Hesitating, Percy swung his sword when he saw Medusa pounce on him. He closed his eyes when he heard something hit the ground and rolled to his feet. He was about to open his eyes when he heard someone shout. "Percy, don't open your eyes yet. Give me a second and you can open them," Naruto said while pulling a scroll from his flak jacket and walking towards the severed head of Medusa. Sealing it away and making sure it was secure, he told Percy he could open his eyes. "Why did you ask me to keep my eyes closed? It isn't like it can still petrify me, can it?" Percy asked. "Of course it can still petrify you, mate. It is a spoil of war and now it belongs to you. Come on, Annie, let's go back to the warehouse and we can discuss our next course of action." And with that he started to walk back with Annabeth close to him. Percy decided to follow, holding the scroll tightly. "So do we have to thank Athena for this monster, don't we?" Percy asked while looking intently at the scroll. He was pissed at Zeus for blaming him of stealing the bolt, at Naruto's grandfather for taking away his mom. "Actually, it is your father's fault for Medusa's curse. Athena simply caught them making out in her temple, and Medusa was punished for it. Your father got away without punishment for his status as one of the big three." Naruto answered before Annabeth could, and avoiding another discussion. Percy got up and left the table to look through Medusa's office. He found several drachmas and dollars. He grabbed a box and a pen and a flyer that had the underworld's address. "You shouldn't do that, they will take it as an insult," an impertinent Annabeth said when she saw what Percy was doing. And as always Percy ignored her. Naruto decided they should leave and sleep outside. He grabbed Annabeth's hand to pull her with him so she couldn't kill Percy or try to kill him and laced their fingers together unconsciously. Annabeth blushed with Naruto's action but didn't say anything. She knew she had feelings for the whiskered mark boy and was embarrassed by her mom from time to time when they talked, and she brought Naruto up making suggestions he would be a fine husband in the future and he could provide for her when they were older if she decided to get together. The blush she would sport made her mom laugh a lot until Annabeth could calm her down and change the subject, but one way or another Athena always made it back to the dreaded topic Naruto and her in the future. She decided to keep quiet and cherish the feeling of warmth that his hand provided. Percy found out a clearing big enough to sleep and small enough to be easily defendable. While Naruto got a smokeless fire going, Percy decided to clean the clearing a bit, knowing that Grover would have a fit if he found out he didn't try to clean it up a bit at least. "Naruto, can I ask why you didn't chop off Medusa's head when you started to attack her?" Percy asked out of the blue. He turned around to meet Naruto's mismatched eyes boring straight to him with the coldness of a war veteran. "You needed to learn to attack by yourself and stand on your own feet. I won't be there every time to bail you out, mate. That is a lesson that is best learned by force, which is the way my senseis taught me and my mom kept it up. That is why I didn't chop off her head or shoot her with my arrows." Naruto said while he saw Percy's eyes widen. "Yes, if she had bested you, I would have taken over and saved you, but I know in the future that you will be the leader of the camp. You have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and lead." Percy could only nod at the logic of Naruto's statement and sat down to relax a bit when he saw Naruto unseal a guitar and strum it a bit. Naruto finished his song and opened his eyes to see Annabeth staring at him, while Percy had a look of awe at the way he could play. "What, Uncle Apollo gave it to me in my birthday 2 years ago and been practicing since then," Naruto said to make them snap out of it. "Go to sleep guys, I'll take first watch," he said while Percy nodded and laid down to sleep. Annabeth crawled to her sleeping bag that Naruto managed to seal before the bus exploded with the rest of their equipment. She fell asleep instantly, but after a few minutes started to shiver from the cold wind that blew past her. Naruto noticed that Annabeth was shivering from the cold and he unsealed his blanket and laid it on top of her to keep her warm. When she snuggled into it he chuckled and looked to the sky. "Are you proud of me, Mom, Dad, Grandpa? Am I worthy of your legacy?" Naruto thought to himself while he stared at the stars shining. The next morning Percy woke up to see Naruto holding a pink poodle when Annabeth tossed him a bag of nacho-flavored chips. "I found our tickets west," Naruto said while holding the poodle towards Percy. "Percy, say hi to Gladiola, our ticket west in the Amtrak station." Percy thought it was weird and voiced his concern. "How would a pink poodle be our ticket west? Can it transform into a monster that will let us ride it to LA?" he asked with skepticism which made the poodle growl, Annabeth giggle and Naruto chuckle. "He escaped from her owner, we will return him to her and get the reward, enough to get us tickets to go west. Let's go and return him to his owner," Naruto said while getting up with Annabeth following after him. After returning Gladiola to his owner and getting the money they bought tickets to LA. Percy was walking up and down the train to stretch his legs and calm his nerves, while Annabeth kept talking with Naruto to distract themselves off the fact they couldn't go out. "Tell me more of your hunting trips. You are one of the luckiest demigods I've ever met. You get to spend time with your mom and grandfather from time to time?" Annabeth asked Naruto, who simply chuckled at the expression. "It's pretty good sometimes. I love hunting with my mom, and there are times when we simply stay up all night to watch the stars. She usually asks me how my life is going. She knows how dangerous the world can be, both this one and mine. Same with my grandpa, he shows me around the underworld, and once last year he let me talk to my dad who told me how proud he was of me, of how I rose up from the hate I received. He also told me that Iro-Sennin had the key to unlock Kurama's yin chakra, so we could cinch and fight as one, but I have to study under the toads in Mount Miyabuko first, and then I will receive the key to begin my training to cinch in full with Kurama," Naruto answered, which made Annabeth's eyes widen. She still remembered the day she met the nine-tailed fox. She was surprised at the way Naruto and Kurama would trade insults back and forth, but never with malice, just like siblings. She had talked to Kurama in private that time, and he said he brought her to Naruto's mindscape so he could meet her. She also found out that same as the Aphrodite cabin he tried to pair her with Naruto and laughed at the blush she had when he mentioned that she was a strong girl and would make a great couple with the older blonde. "So you will go back to that place? Will you come back?" Annabeth asked with a small voice, dreading the answer. She found a hand lifting her chin and she was staring at the mismatched but still gorgeous in Annabeth's honest and unbiased opinion eyes of Naruto. Yes, I will go back, but only to train and visit, and I want to take you there so you can meet my friends and my surrogate family, Naruto said while staring deep into Annabeth's gray eyes. Annabeth smiled and hugged Naruto tightly knowing he wouldn't leave her alone. Naruto broke the hug and gave Annabeth a bright smile that made her blush. They continued to talk about architecture knowing that was one of Annabeth's favorite subject. Percy had fallen asleep in the train. While he did that, Naruto heard him whisper in his sleep about something until Annabeth kicked him and told them they were going sightseeing into the arch. Hey guys, you know the symbols of power of the gods? Percy asked suddenly getting a nod of confirmation. He asked another question. Doesn't hate he was cut off by Naruto when he was about to say the name. Percy, names have power, and you mean my grandfather's helm of darkness don't you? At Percy's nod he continued yes it does work like Annabeth's cap, but it also produces this dark aura that makes you fear the dark and it makes it look like your worst fears, being in the presence makes me shiver, but I got used to it kind of he said while shrugging his shoulders. How do we know he isn't here right now watching us? Percy voiced his concern, what if he tried to sabotage the quest? We don't know, besides he wouldn't interfere in a quest that goes against the ancient laws Annabeth answered this time while walking to the elevator, unconsciously grabbing Naruto's hand and lacing her fingers with his. They got in the cart and the doors were about to close when a hand stopped it and a lady with a chihuahua entered. You came all alone dears? The lady asked with a sweet tone. While eyeing the three of them. Percy simply stared at the lady while Naruto answered for them. Nope, our parents are waiting at the bottom. They don't like closed spaces or heights, so we went ahead of them. Naruto smoothly lied, which made Annabeth remember something he told her long ago. I lie, I cheat, I steal, and I can make it look like someone else did. I can make a lie look so convincing you would never know even if it hit you in the face. That is what my career was based on. Anne giggled at the lie he crafted within a moment's notice. The lady simply smiled and nodded while the chihuahua looked like he wanted to tear them up. They got to the top and Annabeth hadn't let go of Naruto's hands. She started to drag him and speak his ear off and she knew it, but she saw his smile at the way she got excited of the monument and could keep up with her incessant talk of it. It made her smile brighter. After a few hours had passed the guard told them it was time to go because they were closing down for the day. Naruto and Annabeth nodded and went to tell Percy. They were about to get on the cart when Percy and Naruto saw the old lady grinning at them while she flicked her tongue like a reptile. Naruto seeing that there was also a family there told them to get in their place. When he saw that the cart had gone down they turned around to see the chihuahua barking at them like mad and the lady smirking. Oh dear, you want to play with them now son? Well go ahead, there is nobody else here to see you said the lady while her smirk turned predatory. Be honored Percy Jackson, Lord Zeus rarely lets me test a demigod with one of my sons. She finished while the chihuahua kept on barking. After each new bark it grew in size till it transformed into a chimera. Shit is Echidna the mother of all monsters. Annabeth cursed at the luck they were having. Percy decided to open his mouth. Isn't that like some kind of anteater? Making Echidna roar and the chimera charge. Naruto dodged the charging beast and slashed at the serpent's head, which recoiled to avoid the strike. He saw a shimmer in the back of the chimera and smirked when Annabeth plunged her dagger into the neck of it. He pulled out several kunais and threw them to keep the serpent's head busy so it wouldn't strike Annabeth. Percy was fighting an enraged Echidna. I hate Australia for giving that thing my name. She kept on shouting while swinging at Percy, who turned and jumped away from a flame that the chimera had breathed. When he came close to it, he saw that it left a big hole in the floor. He kept his focus on Echidna trying to get an opening so he could strike. He forgot all about the chimera until he felt something bite down on his leg and made him feel woozy and weak. He looked down to see the serpent's head recoil after biting him. He started to stumble towards the hole in the floor. Go on. Jump to the river and prove your bloodline, son of Poseidon, or are you a non-believer? Echidna taunted Percy. She was playing with his mind and he knew she was getting to him. Percy steeled his nerves and jumped to the river. Father, please protect me. Percy prayed to his father hoping to not go splat against the water. Shit. Percy has been poisoned. Annabeth. We need to finish this right now. Naruto shouted and took Kubikiri out of its holster and made a sign. Kurigakur no Jutsu, he said, while spreading his chakra and creating the mist. Annabeth put her hat on and ran to stand near the exit of the arch, knowing Naruto would finish it quickly. She hated this technique, it made her fear everything, the confusing sounds, not being able to see more than 2 feet in front. She heard a thump in the distance and saw the mist started to clear. She walked towards Naruto's silhouette. When she arrived, she saw Echidna in her knees with Kubikiri hovering above her. She saw Naruto's eyes were slit and red and knew that he was pissed. Haha, so rich. The hunter girl went and got a brat of her own. Tell me how it feels to be the very thing she hates even above monsters. Oh, and look here, you also have a monster sealed inside you. You are the embodiment of everything she hates. Echidna said while cackling like mad. When she saw Naruto lower his head and his shoulders started to shake, she laughed even more until she felt the tip of the sword pressing against her throat. You don't know my mother, I do, I have met her, she loves me, you bitch. Now I got a friend who wants to say hi, you're up, Kurama, Naruto said while he gained a more animalistic look. His hair got shaggier, his whiskers darkened, and his nails got longer. So this is the great Echidna, mother of all monsters. She is but a puny monster herself, but you insulted the kid's mother, and that is a big no, so I've been given the honor of ripping you to shreds, Kurama said while smirking with malice. He knew Annabeth was watching them and made sure Naruto knew it too so he could explain it. Kurama lifted his hand and thrusted it forwards and through Echidna's throat. He took it out and saw her gurgling and choking on her own blood until she turned to dust. Kurama gave Naruto back control and he went to sleep, knowing Naruto would contact him if he was needed. Are you okay? Annabeth asked Naruto once she saw his eyes were back to his usual obsidian and silver. He nodded and extended a hand to her. She took it and hugged him with all the strength she could muster. Let's get out of here, Percy must be healed already and waiting for us, Naruto said, breaking apart the hug and walking towards the elevator. They got back to street level and found a freaked out Percy who told him that his father had summoned him to Santa Monica. When they were walking towards the Amtrak station they heard the news crews call it a terrorist attack and that Percy was part of the terrorist cell. They got back to the train and left as quick as they could, trying not to draw attention to themselves. Naruto suggested Percy to sleep so he could get his energy back after the poison, and the jump took out a lot of him. Percy agreed without arguments and fell asleep. So Kurama came out to play with Echidna. What did she say to make you do that? Annabeth questioned Naruto when they knew Percy was fully asleep. Making Naruto sigh and tell her everything Echidna said. We need to contact camp, Chiron would know what to do, or maybe even Mr. D might know better. Naruto said after a while of thinking their next move. Annabeth agreed with him. You should sleep, you have had a hectic day, I will wake you up if anything happens, okay? He said when he saw Annabeth's eyes drop a bit. She simply agreed and snuggled against him, making Naruto chuckle and hug her so she could be comfortable. The next morning they had arrived at the end of their line and got out. They walked around Denver until they walked to a car wash. Percy wondered what it would look like to see 3 teens walking into a car wash, dirty and with no car. He followed the blondes to a stall and saw Annabeth hand the spray gun to Naruto, who set it to find mist. So what are we doing here? Percy asked to Annabeth when he saw her rummaging in her backpack for a drachma. He handed her some he had taken from Medusa's warehouse, while Naruto put quarters in the machine. We are at the camp, Annabeth answered simply and threw the drachma to the mist that had been formed. She prayed to Iris to contact camp. Percy expected to see Chiron or Mr. D, but they saw Luke. Percy? Is that you? Hey, where is Annabeth and Naruto? He asked with surprise in his voice. When Annabeth and Naruto said they were there he nodded. Sorry, you just missed Chiron, someone spread the word of your quest and the cabins are taking sides. It's shaping to be like the Trojan War. Luke said until a car rolled up to the stall next to theirs with music blaring from it. What is that sound? Luke asked. Don't worry, Naruto, and I will take care of it. Come on, Whiskers, give the gun to Percy, Annabeth said in a hurry, and Naruto just nodded and handed it to Percy. So have you used the shoes? Have they been helpful to you? I would feel better if they were, Luke asked Percy, who could only say they were helpful against several monsters they had faced. Hey. Mind turning your music down? Naruto asked the 2 men. Beat a kid, the guy in the passenger side said while getting out of the car. Look, I just asked if you could turn down your music a bit. Annabeth said, trying to reason with the guys. Look, kid, just leave before we rough you and your little girlfriend up, the driver answered while getting out of the car to stand next to his friend. Annabeth glared at the 2 jerks standing in front of them. You should turn down your music down a little, okay? She said while getting mad. Naruto saw the guys walk towards them. One pulled a pocket knife and said, you asked for a kid, and tried to stab Naruto. Naruto sighed and sidestepped the guy and ducked under the swing from the other guy who tried to take advantage of his friend's swing. Annabeth went over to the car while Naruto played with the 2 thugs. After she turned off the music she heard some grunts and moaning behind her. She turned to see the 2 thugs in the ground filled with bruises and small cuts on their clothes. Percy was talking with Luke. Yeah, the shoes came in handy when Medusa attacked us. I flew a bit to get space, he said, trying to convince the son of Hermes that the shoes were an advantage. Luke smiled. Great. Where are you now? So I can tell Chiron where you are. He said when Naruto and Annabeth came back laughing and smiling at some joke Naruto said. Come on, seaweed brain. Let's find a place to eat and plan our next move. We'll see you later, Luke. Annabeth said while flashing a small smile to Luke, who waved goodbye to the trio and walked away. They walked for a while until they came up to a small dinner. They agreed to stop there and eat a quick lunch. Walking in and finding a booth they slid in and made small talk until the waitress came over. What do you want? She asked while looking over the group. We want to order. Percy said, looking nervous, knowing that the 3 of them were dirty and stinking the dinner a bit. The waitress was about to take their order when she stiffened like the rest of the small dinner. They saw a motorcycle roll up in the driveway of the dinner, and the guy driving it was a burly man wearing a leather vest with a red undershirt, shades covering his eyes, leather pants, and boots. When he walked into the dinner, Percy saw that all the patrons stood up and the guy walked over to their booth and sat down in front of him, squishing Annabeth a bit. "At ease people," the guy said with authority, making the waitress blink a bit and ask what they would eat. After taking their orders, she asked if they had money to pay, while glancing at Percy's clothes that were dirty and a bit singed. "It's on me, sweetheart," the guy said while tossing the waitress a few gold coins. When she tried to say that the coins were useless, the guy pulled a knife and started to clean his nails. "Problem, sweetheart?" he asked while grinning. Percy didn't know what was about the guy, but it made him mad. It reminded him of every single bully he ever met, from Nancy Bobofit to Gabe to Clarice. "You can't threaten people like that," he said while glaring a bit. He didn't notice Annabeth's frantic shake of her head or Naruto's chuckle. "Haha, hell if I can't, I love this country, so you're the son of old Barnacle Beard," the guy said while chuckling at Percy's reaction. "You know who I am, little cousin?" he said while smirking. "No, and I don't care who you are, so please leave," Percy said while his glare intensified. He heard Annabeth face palm and Naruto and the stranger chuckle. "Forgive him, Lord," Annabeth tried to say, but was silenced by the god who just raised a hand. "Relax, kid, I don't mind a bit of attitude from time to time." "Haha. Ask the little fish cake over there," the stranger interrupted Annabeth. "Damn it, Ares. I told you like a million times that it means maelstrom, not fish cake," Naruto shouted, making Percy's eyes widen at the now revealed god, who was chuckling at Naruto's outburst. "I know, but it is just too damn funny to see both your moms and your reaction to your name." Ares laughed while Annabeth giggled at a fuming Naruto. "You're Clara's father," Percy said in a small voice. When he saw the grin in Ares' face, it made his blood boil. "And you are the punk who broke her spear," he said while chuckling. "She was asking for it since I arrived to camp," Percy said while gritting his teeth. Ares' aura was making him mad, and the grin in his face made him want to punch the god in the mouth. "Fair enough, I don't fight my kids' battle, anyways, on to bigger matters. I know what you are looking for," Ares said while turning to look at Naruto. When Naruto saw the look, he felt uneasy like when he first saw Orochimaru during that fateful second part. He simply nodded and listened. "I know that you are looking for the Master Bolt. What makes you think if me or one of us couldn't find it, that you will? Well, you do have Hunter Boy with you, but still," Ares said while thinking about the power of the weapon. "We will find it, Lord Ares," Percy said with contempt to the god. "Anyways, I got a little quest for you. It shouldn't take more than a few hours. I had a date with my girlfriend in a nearby water park, we had to leave in a hurry, and I forgot my shield. Go retrieve it for me, and I will provide transportation and information you might find interesting," Ares said with a smirk. "Why don't you go get it yourself?" Percy rudely asked, making Annabeth face palm herself, along with Naruto at Percy's attitude. "Why don't I turn you into a prairie dog and run you over with my Harley?" "Because I don't feel like it, a god is giving you a quest to prove your worth," Ares answered, making Percy grit his teeth together. "We already have a quest, so sorry, but we can't retrieve your shield," Percy said, getting angrier by the second. "You are lucky you met me and not some of the others, some are not as lenient as me. Look, go retrieve my shield, and I will give you information on something that is important to you," Ares said with a growl. Percy's attitude was getting to him. "What information? You have nothing that interests us or can help us," Percy said with a glare. "Really? What if that information was about your mom?" Ares said, noticing Percy stopped, making him grin. "Great, the park is not far from here. When you have it, come back here and I will show you the transport and give you the info," he said. While snapping his fingers, he shimmered for a bit until he disappeared. "Let's keep moving, guys, we don't have much time. Forget about Ares' shield," Percy said when Annabeth told him to stop. "Look, as much as I hate Ares, he is a god and he came to us with the quest. We simply can't ignore him, and besides, Naruto would probably go fetch the shield even if we moved on. He is in good terms with Ares," she said, while Naruto just kept silent and ate his burger. Percy sighed and agreed to go find the shield so they could get transport. The trio walked down the street to the water park Ares told them his shield was. Percy kept on grumbling that they should forget the shield and keep going to LA. Naruto knew that Percy wanted to clear his dad's name, even if Percy didn't say it out loud. Naruto chuckled at Percy's grumbling, while Annabeth rolled her eyes. They arrived to the abandoned park to be faced with their first obstacle, a locked fence. Percy took out the flying shoes and strapped them on and said Maya and flew over the fence. Naruto just shook his head and grabbed Annabeth's hand and sunshined them over. They walked for a while until they came up to a souvenir shop. "Clothes. Fresh, clean clothes." Annabeth shouted and rushed over to grab a t-shirt and pants before either Naruto or Percy tried to stop her. "I don't think we should take them, Annabeth," Percy said while Annabeth ignored him. He looked over to the older blonde, only to stare at Naruto's back, who was also grabbing a pair of shirts and pants. He sighed and followed their example. After a few minutes, Percy came out and saw Annabeth combing her hair a bit and Naruto waiting. When Naruto saw Percy he signaled Annabeth and they walked to look for the shield. They arrived to a waterless pool with Cupid's status surrounding it and a lone boat in the middle. "The thrill ride, oh love. This is not your parents' love tunnel," was the sign above the entrance tunnel. "I wonder why Ares would bring his girlfriend here, she might be ugly as hell," Percy said with a chuckle. "You shouldn't say that, Percy, she might get angry and curse you," Annabeth said with a bit of fear in her voice. "Why? Is she Echidna?" Percy joked a bit. "Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. And one of the most feared goddesses is his girlfriend and she doesn't take lightly to mockery, Percy," Naruto said, making Percy stare at him. "Isn't she like married to the crippled Gaia Hephaestus?" Percy asked with surprise. Naruto snorted and Annabeth laughed a bit. "Aphrodite is more into external beauty than inner, and she and Ares are old news, like thousand-year-old news," Annabeth said while checking one of the statues. After a few years of training with Naruto and Claris, she developed what Naruto liked to call danger sense, and by Naruto's tense body, she knew he was aware of something was wrong. "Alright, I'll go down, Annabeth, you back me up, if something happens, Naruto can cover us from above," Percy said when he heard a snicker and a humph. Turning around he saw Naruto laughing and Annabeth glaring at him. "Wow, Percy, already making your move on Annie?" Naruto said while chuckling, until Annabeth hit him on the shoulder combined with a glare made him shut up. "Okay, never mind, I'll go alone then," Percy said while he was still confused at the statement Naruto made. He turned around to see Annabeth make her way down the pool. "Don't think too much about it, seaweed brain, let's go," she said and walked over to the boat. Percy arrived to the boat to not only see Ares' shield but also a scarf. Picking it up, he brought it up to smell it when it disappeared from his hands. "Oh no you don't, no love magic for you, seaweed brain, just grab the damn shield and let's get out of here," Annabeth said while holding the scarf far away from her and Percy. They started to make their way back to the edge of the pool when the glass panels opened up and Annabeth froze. "Shit, those are spiders, I have to get Annabeth out of there," Naruto said and started to get near the edge when the Cupid statues came to life and shot their arrows. Naruto saw that and dove out of the way. He saw that the statues had made a net around the pool and that the spiders were starting to swarm his friends. He heard Percy shout to him to get the water running. Naruto created a clone to look in the nearby booth for something to get the water flowing in the pool. They heard the statues open up and saw cameras popping out of them and saying that the live transmission to Olympus would start in a minute. "Damn it, Ada. It's a trap, Hephaestus said it to catch Ares and Aphrodite. And now we are going to go live to Olympus. Naruto, hurry up and get us out of here," Annabeth shouted and then screamed in fright because some spiders came near her. Naruto started running around trying to cut through the cables that formed the net, but neither Kubikiri nor his hunting knives could cut it. His clone dispersed informing him that the water should start running, and sure enough it did, but little by little, he started to think until a memory popped up from his training in his wind affinity, taking Kubikiri from his back and started to channel his affinity to it and swung the massive cleaver cutting the net. And forming several hand seals he shouted Suiton. Miserapa, and water gushed out of his mouth giving Percy something to work with. He saw the boat disappear into the tunnel. He ran to the other end of the tunnel in time to see Percy and Annabeth jump from the boat before it collided with the fence. He saw them about to fall. He created a clone and both pumped chakra to their legs, the clone catching Percy and the original grabbed Annabeth bridal style. "Gods damn it, Hephaestus set this up to humiliate Ares and his wife." Annabeth started to rant and the cameras swiveled to keep the three demigods on focus. Naruto decided to stop Annabeth's rant, step up and said. "Boy, Annie, relax, you do know we are being broadcasted live right now to Olympus. The show's over, thanks for watching. See you next time." Naruto said and bowed to the cameras, which turned off and disappeared into the Cupid statues making Naruto chuckle. He started to walk towards the entrance. "Let's go guys, we have a shield to deliver and info to get." Percy simply nodded and followed Naruto, while Annabeth ran to catch up and walked besides Naruto, who smiled at her. After walking back to the dinner where they saw Ares leaning on his bike with a sky blue electric duffel bag, Percy walked up to the smirking god and handed him the shield. "You knew it was a trap, didn't you?" Percy asked while glaring at the smirking god. "Of course I knew, kid, but it was priceless what you did, haha. Anyways, there is your ride west. It does a pit stop in Las Vegas though," Ares said while throwing his shield overhead, making the three demigods follow it and see it shimmer for a second until it fell in Ares' hands as a bulletproof vest. "You still owe me some information," Percy said, making the god stop in his tracks. "You sure you can handle this type of info, kid?" Ares said, turning to look at Percy, who simply nodded, making Ares nod. "She is still alive, kid," he said to a shocked Percy. Naruto and Annabeth simply stood back knowing that this was something between the god and their friend. What? How is that possible? I saw her throat being crushed," Percy said, stunned, making Ares chuckle. "Did she turn to golden dust?" the god asked, and at Percy's nod he continued, "That is metamorphosis, she was taken before she died, for control." The god explained to the still stunned demigods. "Control? Against who?" Percy asked, and seeing Ares pointing towards him he got angry. "Nobody is controlling me," Percy said, getting angrier. Ares chuckled at the kid attitude and started his bike. "You're a jerk, you know that," Percy said, making the god laugh and throw them the duffel bag. Percy opened it to see double stuffed Oreo, fresh clothes, $20 in cash, a pouch of golden drachmas. He was about to shove the bag back to the god when Naruto took it out of his hands and Annabeth covered his mouth. "Thank you very much, Lord Ares, we are very grateful," she said while Naruto nodded. Ares just grunted and revved up his bike. When Percy looked back to the dinner he saw that the waitress that served them had dragged the cook and made him take a photo of them with Ares. "Eyes, if we plan on taking the Zoo Express we better get going," Naruto said while pointing back to the dinner where two guys with the same logo that the truck were paying for their meal. Annabeth shouldered the duffel bag and ran to the truck, Naruto close behind, and Percy picked up the rear. With the help of Naruto they closed the door. "Oh gods, what is that smell?" Annabeth said, making Naruto and Percy focus on the smell. Naruto started to gag at the smell while Percy covered his nose and brought Riptide out, casting a small glow around the truck. The sight they got was of 3 cages. One had a white lion with some turnips on the cage and not enough water for him to drink, and its ribs were practically showing. The second cage had an antelope with a balloon tied to one of its antlers and half a Happy Meal burger in its cage. The last animal was a zebra with chew gum in its mane, and the other half of the Happy Meal was in its cage, staring at them with half-lidded eyes. Naruto was appalled by the treatment. He was of half a mind of getting of the truck and beat senseless the ones transporting them. Annabeth saw the dark look Naruto got and grabbed his hand to calm him down, making Naruto smile and turn around to hug her. Percy was looking around the truck when he heard something. "Please Lord, help us out of here." He turned around and saw that the zebra was the one trying to get his attention a bit. He blinked trying to figure out where the voice came from when he heard it again with the same plea. Guys, I think I'm going crazy, but did that zebra just talk to us?" Percy asked, looking behind to see both blondes staring at him like he was crazy. "Percy, you're either really tired or going crazy over what has been going on this past few weeks," Naruto answered with a chuckle until Annabeth shut him up. "Actually it kind of makes sense. Poseidon created horses out of sea foam, and zebras are not that separated from horses, so it makes sense that a son of Poseidon can't speak to horses and zebras," she explained to the two stunned demigods, making her chuckle a bit. Percy fell asleep after they made small talk and he asked about the ring and the beads in Annabeth's necklace and Naruto's green stone. Annabeth leaned her head on Naruto's shoulder until he pulled his guitar out. "You shouldn't play that in here, they could hear it and come investigate what is causing the noise," Annabeth warned him, making him chuckle and point to a point above her head where Anaclosmo's light still shined thanks to Percy not putting it away. She saw a seal matrix and frowned when Naruto simply whispered in her ear, "Privacy and silencing seals." He started to strum a couple chords and cleared his throat and looked over to Annabeth with a small smile. Naruto finished his song to see that Annabeth had fallen asleep. He moved a bit trying not to disturb her and got comfortable and closed his eyes. They fell asleep to the slow humming of the engine and Naruto snaked his arm unconsciously around Annabeth, who snuggled in his warm embrace. The next morning Naruto jolted up when he felt the truck start to slow down and saw that Annabeth had also woken up and was going to get Percy up so they could hide. "Come on Percy, get up, the truck stopped moving and the guys must be coming to check on the animals," she said while shaking the groggy boy, who started to stumble a bit and got to Naruto's side. Annabeth saw the door start to open and put on her hat and disappeared, making Naruto grab Percy and whisper him to hold his breath and wrap them both in shadows. "Wow. I wish I hauled appliance instead of dirty animals," said one of the guys while walking over to the plastic water jug. "Thirsty little cat?" he asked while he threw a bit of water in the lion's face, making it roar in displeasure. "Yeah, whatever, you overgrown house cat," he said and walked over to the zebra and banged on the cage. "Well fella, at least we are getting rid of you today. You will love the show you'll be on. They will saw you in half," the guy said, chuckling, making the zebra look frantically to Percy. "Please Lord, get us out of here, help us," the zebra cried. Thump thump. They heard outside the truck, making the one inside sigh and shout, "What do you want, Eddie?" "Said something, Maurice." They heard from the outside. Inside the truck they heard another loud bang that made Maurice sigh and curse Eddie's stupidity while walking outside. When the guy got out, Annabeth materialized and Naruto dropped the shadows. "This can't be illegal transport," Percy said while breathing hard. He felt he was suffocating in the shadows Naruto wrapped around them. His statement made Naruto nod his head and Annabeth to think of something to do. "Hey. You can't be back here." They heard someone shouting and turned to see both Maurice and Eddie. Naruto took a kunai out, making the guy step back a bit, making him smirk a bit and swung it to the locked cages. Everybody stared at the blonde with different reactions. Annabeth just stared wide eyes at what Naruto just did. Percy's sweat dropped, thinking that Naruto would do something cool that would give them a chance to escape, while the two guys staring credulous at the dumb teen. Everybody turned around to see the locks that kept the cages shut slowly fall to the ground and the door to swing open slowly. The zebra turned and thanked Percy profusely for his help and dashed to the exit while the lion stared down menacingly to its two captors, roared and dashed outside following the zebra and the antelope. The police saw the two guys run after the animals and started to chase them, shouting for their transport license and calling for backup to catch the animals. Annabeth stared at Naruto with a grin on her face, while Percy just stared in awe and with 1,000 questions more to the blonde. They saw him move towards the open door of the truck and jump down. Annabeth quickly followed him and Percy just stared for a while to the locks. He picked one and saw that it had been cut cleanly in half. "Come on seaweed brain, let's find transport to get to LA and finish this quest, we still have 6 days." He heard Annabeth shout and run to catch up to his friends. Percy was tired, sweaty and getting annoyed by the looks they were getting. Naruto decided to carry his massive sword, or as he had heard Clarus referred to as huge-ass kitchen knife, and made him wonder what the mortal saw. They walked for a few hours or so, he thought, when he turned to see Naruto's wristwatch and saw that only half an hour had gone by and they had wandered up to a dead-end street with one casino at the end of it. Lotus Hotel and Casino, it read in big neon letters. A doorman was standing outside and waved them over. They got near carefully. "Hey, you guys look like you need a place to rest for a while, why don't you come in?" the man said with a grin. Before Naruto could stop Percy, he was already walking up the steps and waving them over, making him sigh and follow. When they walked in the lobby, they were astounded by the way it was built. They saw a water slide going down one side of the lobby, while the bungee platform was on the other side. They walked to the front desk and were greeted by a different man. Welcome to the Lotus Hotel and Casino. Here are your room key and your guest card, which will allow you to get on every ride and game we have, and also the restaurant. Your room is number 4001 and has already been paid for," the man said without missing a beat and handed them 3 green credit cards. Percy stared a bit at the card and looked up to the man in the desk. "When does it run out?" he asked, making the man look at him with a questioning look, making Percy elaborate. "When does it run out of money?" He repeated his question. The man stared for a bit and suddenly broke out in laughter. "Oh, you are making a joke, I like it, haha," he said, and signaled for a bellhopper to take them to their room. "You are funny, enjoy your stay at the Lotus Hotel and Casino," he said while they walked to the elevator. When they arrived at their room, they were left with their jaws in the floor. It was huge, it had a balcony with a skiving range, a hot tub, it had 3 beds, a flat screen TV, and from what they asked, the bellhop with satellite connection. They decided to take turns to take a shower and relax. Obviously that meant Annabeth threatened them that she would take a shower first and she would introduce her dagger and knives to them if they messed with her while she tried to relax. Percy was shaken a bit from the aura the small blonde projected and simply nodded. After Annabeth had taken her sweet time in the shower and Percy had ran out of skiving targets, he saw Naruto enter the bathroom and sighed when he knew he lost his chance. He only hoped that they left him enough hot water for him to relax. When Percy finally had his turn to relax with a hot shower, he came out and saw Naruto shirtless on one bed. While Annabeth stared at the TV, he saw that the channel was the History Channel. "Of the hundreds of channels you could pick, you chose that one?" Percy asked, incredulous. Annabeth shrugged her shoulders and answered him with a simple nod. Percy only shook his head and addressed the second elephant in the room. "Why are you shirtless, Naruto, and is that a tattoo in your belly?" he asked. He knew Naruto was older than him, but it was only 2 years, so he thought Naruto was insane for getting a tattoo so young. Naruto turned to look at Percy and laughed a bit. "Because it's hot as hell in here, and no, it's not a tattoo, it's a seal. My mom would kill me if I got a tattoo this early in life, my grandpa would laugh, but that is besides the point," he answered. When he saw the next question in Percy's eyes, he elaborated. "You know how back from where I'm from we can control an energy called chakra, right?" When Percy nodded, he continued, "Back in my world there are 9 chakra entities, also known as the 9 Biju, massive chakra entities that became so powerful that they could cause natural disasters with only swinging their tails a bit. It ranges from the 1 tail to the 9 tails. The night I was born, the Kyuubi attacked my village. My father fought against it and could barely scratch it, so he did the second best thing, seal it. Of course, being the strongest of the Biju, the only compatible container would be a recently born child with his or her chakra pathways barely developed, so the Biju's chakra would align over time with the host chakra. And unfortunately the only baby born that day was me. He sacrificed his life for his village, hoping they saw me as a hero, and as you know the rest of it, I know I don't have to go on detail, right?" Naruto finished his explanation. He waited for a reaction, but was surprised by what came from Percy's mouth. "So you have a huge ass fox in your gut? That's it? From what Annabeth told me there are worse things, and from the things you have told me some are worse over there. Suo, he helps you out or teaches you something?" Percy asked, making Naruto laugh a bit and Annabeth to shake her head. "Yeah, he helps me in battle from time to time and trains with me and gives advice sometimes needed and appreciated other times. He is just a pervert," Naruto said and turned to look towards Annabeth. "So what now?" "Do we sleep and leave in the morning?" he asked. Percy answered for them, "No, we enjoy ourselves for a bit and then we leave," he said with a huge grin that was later mimicked by Naruto. Naruto roamed the lobby of the hotel thinking what to do. He saw Annabeth walk straight to a Sims game in 3D and saw Percy jump several times from the bungee and from the water slide. He walked to the food section when he felt a pull to one of the tables. Trusting his gut and second conscious, he walked over to the tables. He felt their auras before he even got a glimpse of them. By the way their aura felt, he could tell they were siblings, one female and one male. He got closer and he finally saw them, a small boy of 8 years and a girl of 10. Both had pale skin, dark hair and obsidian eyes. He saw the boy was playing with some cards, while the girl kept an eye on him while looking a bit annoyed. Naruto was about to get close to them when a voice spoke to him. "You shouldn't talk to them, they are here for a reason. How do you think Zeus would react if he knew about them?" He recognized his grandfather's voice and answered him, "Well, you know that me and mom could look after them. They are family after all." He heard him chuckle a bit before he got an answer. "Alright smartus, your mom will definitely protect the girl, but the boy? Will he be allowed or will have to stay in the Hermes cabin?" The question threw Naruto for a loop but decided to answer his grandfather. "We will cross that bridge when it's time, alright. Now if you can give me something so if they get in trouble I can get to them in a second, like maybe my dad's Hirishin Jutsu. Or something," Naruto said, and even though he didn't got a verbal answer, he felt his pocket a bit heavier and found out a skull ring and saw the formula his father used but changed a bit so it would respond for Naruto's chakra signature. Naruto walked to the siblings and cleared his throat. "Hey, mind if I sit here for a bit?" he asked and flashed a small smile to the siblings. He saw the girl look at him with a bit of a blush and the boy with a look of awe. When he saw the girl, Nadi smiled and sat. Who are you?" the girl asked Naruto, who chuckled more and decided to have a bit of fun with the siblings. "You know it's only polite to introduce yourself first before asking for someone else's name," he said, making the girl blush in embarrassment. "I'm Bianca Di Angelo and this is my younger brother Nico. What is yours?" the now named Bianca said while staring into the mismatched eyes of the blonde. "My name is Naruto, my cute little siblings, and I have a gift for you, Bianca," Naruto said with a small smile at the shocked looks from the siblings. He brought the ring and grabbed a still stunned Bianca's hand and placed the ring in her right ring finger. "If you guys are in trouble just picture a Greek helmet and I'll be there in a flash, I promise, and I never go back on a promise," he said and started to get up. "Wait. What do you mean by family? We look nothing alike to be related in any form, and what is it with the strange skull ring?" Bianca shouted, wanting answers. Naruto stopped for a second, turned around and leaned down enough to whisper in the girl's ear, "All will be revealed soon and cleared up, trust me, and remember never take that ring off, and if you are ever in need of help, just picture a Greek helmet, okay?" he said and straightened up to walk away, while waving back. Nico and Bianca were stunned. They were just hanging out for a bit before they went back to the games, so Nico could play for a while before dinner, and here comes this guy saying they were siblings and gave her a ring. Nico was excited. He truly believed that the blonde was actually related and wanted to know more about his sibling. Bianca was also excited but tried to hide it. She needed answers and she hoped that when they met again he would answer them. Naruto walked away and started to notice something was wrong and was about to contact Kurama when he bumped into Percy, who was dragging and scared Annabeth away from a hotel manager who was holding up cards. They nodded and walked away from the hotel. When they got out of the hotel, Naruto noticed that the duffel bag that Ares had given them was back on Percy's back. He walked over to a near newspaper stand and saw the date. June 20th, Naruto's eyes widened. Along with his friends they spent 5 days in the fucking hotel, and they only had 1 day to get to LA, retrieve the Master Bolt, and get back to New York. Percy thought that they were screwed until he saw Annabeth walk over to a taxi and started to pile everybody in. "Do you take casino debit cards?" she asked a driver who had a half-finished cigar in his mouth. "Some, but same as with credit cards, I got to swipe them first," the driver answered and extended his hand. Annabeth gave him the card and when she saw the strange look on the driver urged him to swipe it. What happened next left everybody staring at the green card. The meter machine started rattling, the lights flashed, and finally an infinity symbol appeared next to the dollar sign. Both the driver and Percy were stunned by this, while Naruto snickered quietly, while Annabeth looked on with a smug smile. "Where to in Los Angeles, Your Highness?" the driver asked to Annabeth, who just looked over to Percy, who remembered that he had to meet his father in Santa Monica. "The Santa Monica Pier, please, and drive as fast as you can," Annabeth answered and the driver nodded and sped away. They hit the highway and the speedometer never dropped from 95. They had plenty of time to talk when they were in the desert. "I met my siblings, Grandpa asked me to give them something to contact me if they were ever in trouble," Naruto said, while Annabeth and Percy stared wide-eyed. After the news of the children of Hades, they turned the conversation to Percy's dream that had plagued him since the start of the quest. Annabeth tried to convince herself that Hades was the one behind it all. She was afraid of the other possibility she had discussed with both Naruto and her mother. After several hours of driving they arrived at Santa Monica Pier, they got of the cab who drove away and walked to the beach. Percy felt drawn to the water even though it was polluted, he started to walk in the sea. "Percy, don't do that, don't you know how polluted it is?" But her warning never reached his ears, he had submerged completely, making Annabeth sigh and Naruto chuckle. "You ready to face the underworld, Annie?" Naruto asked, he knew she would be nervous, hell he was nervous the first time he went down there to spend time with his grandfather. "Yeah, a bit, but I know you have my back and Seaweed Brain will help us out," she answered and walked over to where Naruto stood and leaned a bit on him. She smiled when he instinctively hugged her to comfort her, she liked it when he did that. They waited for about 30 minutes until they saw Percy emerge from the sea and walked over to them. "I've got something that might help us escape the underworld if things go south." "There is nothing like a free gift, Percy," Annabeth said to the black-haired boy. Percy simply walked away. "They were free, my dad sent them to me," and gestured the two blondes to follow him. "We have to plan how to get in the underworld." Annabeth sighed and followed her chuckling crush and the son of Poseidon to the road. Percy was nervous, he couldn't figure out the streets. He started to think that LA was like Ares, no sense whatsoever. Back in New York the streets made sense, and if you were smart enough and kept your eyes open, nothing bad would happen and you would get safely to your destination. Night had fallen and Percy saw the wrong kind of crowd come out of back alleys. He knew this type of thugs, he had seen them in Yancey, kids with a lot of money to throw around and wanting to play the bad guy, bullies. He hated this type. When the thugs started coming out, Naruto pulled Annabeth a bit behind him and pulled a kunai out, hoping not to use it but expecting stupidity from the thugs. Naruto heard from behind him and saw that Percy stopped when they shouted. "This is out street, if you want to go through it you have to pay up." They saw the leader walking towards them and a switch knife in his hand and a smirk on his face. Percy pulled out Riptide in hopes of scaring away the thugs. It worked kind of, the thugs took a step back, but then they went back. In his desperation he swung his sword at the leader and everybody stared at him, saw the blade pass through cleanly and leaving no wounds. "Run!" Naruto shouted and pushed both Annabeth and Percy out of the circle and turned in time to parry the thrust of the leader's knife. Percy grabbed Annabeth's hand and pulled her away from the circle, not knowing where to run he dove into a store, not even trying to understand what it sold. Naruto, seeing his friends get away, relaxed his stand and put his kunai away. The enraged leader swung his switchblade trying to stab Naruto who kept on dodging. "Don't just stand there, get him," the leader shouted to his gang that tried to rush Naruto. Naruto just laughed and couldn't help but remember how bad this tactic went when they used it against Kakashi. And just as Kakashi decimated his army of clones, Naruto did with the thugs. The leader was pissing his pants at seeing one guy beat bare-handed his entire gang. He was about to run away when he heard something that made him piss his pants. "You should never let your enemy get behind you." He turned his head and saw the blonde guy crouching and a hand sign near his ass. The last thing he heard before his head collided with the trash can in the alley was Konoha hiding to Jutsu guy. Senengarashi. Naruto got up and saw the moaning bodies of the thugs, he chuckled a bit at the memories of his genin exam. He left to go look for his friends before they got in more trouble. He found them in a store. When he walked in he saw Annabeth strapped to one of the many waterbs. Percy standing next to a giant of a man looking over another bed, and in the last two beds he saw someone that made his eyes go wide. "Ino-chan, is that you?" he asked when he saw the other blonde. He got his answer by ways of a colorful greeting. "About fucking time you got here, you damn whiskers. What took you so fucking much, huh?" Ino shouted while struggling against her binds and failing at it. He saw the same was for his other sister and his crush. He was about to answer when he heard Ergo and saw Percy standing over the salesman. Percy, who is the guy and why are you holding a huge ass axe over his legs, mate?" he asked and his answer came from the other hunter. "That is Procris, you goddamn idiot. Cut his head so we can get the fuck out of here." Percy blinked at the two other girls in the store and just nodded dumbly, picked the axe and swung down to the screaming giant that kept offering him deals on the waterbs. He turned around when he heard rope snapping and walked to his friend. Annabeth got off the bed a bit shakily and tried to walk but stumbled a bit and was about to fall when a pair of arms grabbed her and pulled her into a hug. She blushed when she saw that it was Naruto but said nothing and snuggled a bit. "Okay Whiskers, stop cuddling with your girlfriend and explain what took you so long to get here," Ino said with a smirk, seeing the blushes the two blondes sported and made her and her sister Phoebe laugh when they started to splutter that they weren't boy-girlfriend. "I was beating up some thugs that got in our way and weren't scared when Percy swung his sword at the leader." Naruto started to explain to his sisters and friends what he did. "Can somebody explain to me who they are and what is their relationship to Naruto?" Percy asked before anybody could say something else. "Percy, those are the hunters of Artemis, Naruto's sisters, well two of them anyways." Annabeth answered, making Percy go wide-eye. The blonde one is one of the girls that also has Stygian iron that is Ino, she is an interrogator, and the brunette is Phoebe, a trap mistress Naruto said, while pointing out each girl. Wait, she is from your world? Percy asked, staring incredulous at the blonde hunter that gave a rather menacing aura. Yeah, and she has been training the same amount of time as me, and she is already one hell of an interrogator if I remember well, Naruto answered while hugging Ino with one arm. Is this him? The one? Phoebe asked while nudging her head towards Percy. Yeah, he could be, or Thalia could be freed from her prison. Annabeth answered to one of the few hunters that wanted Thalia to join them before it was too late, but didn't despise men like some of the older hunters. Well, Whiskers, you still have the luck that made your grandfather famous back in the casinos in the elemental nations, Ino said while laughing. First your very own prophecy, thanks to the geezer Toad, and now you find him. She kept on laughing while Phoebe chuckled. Yeah, anyways, we have to get going, we still have to reach the underworld and talk to my grandfather, and we'll talk later, Naruto said while hugging both hunters, and started to walk out of the store, while dragging a gapping Percy and a smiling Annabeth. We'll talk later, Anna. There are some issues we need to clear up, Ino shouted and emphasized the we by pointing at herself and Phoebe, and smirked when she saw the blush the younger blonde sported while she ran out of the shop to catch up to her friend and crush. The trio of heroes kept on walking down the streets tired and nervous. They were on their way to the underworld to get the Master Bolt back from Hades. They knew where the entrance was, and they had a plan to get by Cerberus, all thanks to the son of Poseidon, who tried to be a good leader and came up with it to save his friends. Annabeth was fidgeting a bit and turning her head everywhere she heard a sound. She was a bit skeptical about the plan, but since she neither knew that well about Cerberus and Naruto denied the same, they were going with Percy's plan. They arrived at what looked like a record studio with a sign above the glass door. Doe Record Studio, and in the door a smaller sign, no solicitors, no loitering, no living. Annabeth and Percy swallowed a bit of saliva and breathed a bit, trying to compose their nerves. Naruto chuckled a bit at this and pushed the doors open before either changed their mind and tried to back away. They saw a bunch of people in the lobby, or that is what would have looked from the outside, but Percy saw through the mist quickly and saw that they were shades, some moaning, others just wandering aimlessly around. He followed his blonde friend to the front desk that had a person behind it. Percy came forward and tried to read what the tag said. Your name is Chiron? He asked after squinting a bit. When he spoke he got the attention of the man, who turned to him and his friends with an annoyed look. Are you blind or are you simply stupid? It says Charon, not Chiron. Say it with me, Charon, the man said, while pointing at his tag, making both Annabeth and Percy squint and get near it to read it. I hate when they confuse me with the old centaur. Do I look like a half-man half-horse to you, kid? After he got a small no sir, he took a breath and turned to address the youngsters. Now what do you want? He asked while going over their faces. We want to go to the underworld. Percy answered, well answered, and asked at the same time, making Charon nod and pull a piece of paper and a pen. Okay, how did you die? He asked and prepared the pen. Drowned in the tub. Annabeth answered, trying to stick to the plan. Both of you? He asked while raising an eyebrow. He started to imagine what the two youngsters were doing, but dismissed the idea pretty quick. It was a big bathtub, and we fell asleep and never noticed when we drowned. Percy tried to bullshit his way like he saw Naruto do back in the arch, before finding that they would be fighting at the top. Alright then, well, do you have money to pay? At the incredulous looks he elaborated, normally when one dies we make the passage charge to their phone receipt or their credit cards, but with kids and teenagers is a bit more difficult. They either keep on screaming that they can't be death or that is a mistake, but I'm getting sidetracked, so how do you plan on paying? Percy pulled the sack with the golden coins he had been collecting since they first confronted Medusa back in New Jersey and took out several coins, putting them in front of Charon, who looked wide-eyed. Real golden drachmas? How? Hey, wait a minute, you two aren't dead, and you must be dyslexic since you had trouble reading my name and confused me with him. Turn around, young demigods, and don't come back. I will take this coins and forget I ever saw you two. Charon said with realization in his voice and started to reach for the coins when he heard a voice that made him pale a bit. Charon, what did I told you about getting greedy with the money? I know that Italian suits are expensive, but that is why the weight is better, trust me. Naruto said with a smirk towards Charon, who grumbled and put his hand down and away from the coins. Lord Naruto, what can I do for you today? I thought you were back in that heroes camp training. Charon said while bowing his head down to the grandson of his boss. And one of the few that would talk to him from time to time. I am, but we were sent on a quest. This two here are my companions, and we need to go see my grandfather. Think we can hitch a ride? Naruto said and pulled a small sack that made Charon smirk a bit at the sound. He knew that sound, and he loved it. Well, I think we have a few seats left. Alright, let's go, Charon said after he checked a list and went to the elevator with a trio of demigod trailing behind. After getting in the elevator and Charon having to push back several spirits and threatening them if they changed his radio station, they started to descend. Annabeth grabbed Naruto's hand on instinct when she felt they started to move forwards and she turned down to see a river. Annabeth gasped when she saw the river Styx. The river Styx, it's oh so she tried to finish her sentence when Charon finished it for her. Polluted. Yeah, for centuries you humans have crossed this river leaving behind dreams and hopes that never came true, making it this polluted. He said and turned to let Annabeth and Percy see his eyes. Percy felt that by simply staring his soul was falling down an empty void. They heard a guitar being strummed and turned to see Naruto strumming his guitar. He took a deep breath and started to play. At the end of the song Charon was smirking, while Annabeth just face-palmed when her crush chose that moment to play that kind of song, while Percy was shaking, he swore that every chorus a ghost was singing along with Naruto. They heard a growl in the distance and Percy shivered. He heard Charon say all three faces is hungry unfortunately for you, he loves demigod flesh. And that made him twice as nervous as he was before. He hoped that the plan he devised worked. Before Percy knew it they had hit shore and the spirits got off the boat followed by Naruto who held Annabeth's hand in his. He followed them and got off the boat. Naruto turned and grinned at Charon with a pouch full of coins and tossed it to him. Thanks again Charon, there is enough there for you to buy at least 2 suits, the second one is on me. He said and walked away towards the lines of the dead. Percy saw one spirit be brutalized by the guards and when he saw the face of the spirit he recognized as the preacher that went to his school once to do something he never paid attention. He heard he had died when he crashed his Lambo of the Lord when the authorities found out all the money he had gathered for donations were spent on a mansion and several other expensive things. What will happen to him? Percy asked Naruto while pointing at the preacher that was dragged to another booth. My grandfather will decide a special punishment for all eternity, he answered and saw that Percy was about to ask another question. It doesn't matter if he doesn't believe in this pantheon, he will see his version of hell but will be punished by Electo. He answered the question without glancing towards Percy. They heard another growl and turned to see a 3-headed dog and the fastest lane going right under him. Percy took that as his signal and reached to his bag where he pulled a stick and waved it in front of the dog. Why is it that we can see him more now? He asked and his only answer was because he is about to attack and you are about to die if you don't do something. Seaweed brain and sweat dropped. Naruto stood back chuckling and shaking his head at Percy's attempt to get Cerberus' attention with a stick and when he saw Percy throw the stick towards the river he laughed. Annabeth was thinking what had gone through Percy's mind when he thought this plan would work. She face-palmed again when he threw the stick thinking that would make the huge-ass dog follow it. Guys, my plan failed badly. Another idea? Percy asked while backing away from the dog with fear evident in his voice. Naruto chuckled yet again and whistled. Heel Cerberus. Down boy. And just like that the dog turned his 3 heads to the blonde and gave what equaled of a happy greeting. Naruto got closer to him and gave him another command. Move boy, we have to see grandpa, I will leave some clones to play with you 8. And with those simple words Cerberus nodded his 3 heads as best as he could and moved aside. Naruto turned to his friends and told them to go ahead while he created several clones. They started to walk through the lines when half of the plan went to shit when the alarms were triggered by the celestial bronze that Annabeth and Percy were carrying, making Naruto shout for them to run and lead them to the fields of asphodel. After a few minutes running and seeing that the security wouldn't catch them they slowed down a bit. Well, that was interesting nah. Naruto said while panting a bit. All the answer he got was a glare from Annabeth and a yelp from Percy, who was having troubles controlling his shoes that seemed to want to fly away and dragging both Percy and the duffel bag that Ares had given to them. Percy stopped fooling around with those shoes. Annabeth shouted when she saw Percy start moving away from them. They could hear Percy shouting Maya. Maya. Gods damn it, stop already. They ran after him all the way into a cave where Percy was able to get a hold of a stalactite and one of his shoes got loose enough that he was able to kick it away just in time before he was dragged of the chasm. Quick Percy, kick your other shoe off. Naruto shouted while he near him and helped him get up. Well, Percy got his feet out of the magic shoe and Naruto kicked it to the chasm. He grabbed Percy's shoulder and led him to the entrance where Annabeth was waiting for them. But again everything went to shit when Percy and Naruto felt something trying to grab them from the bottom of the chasm. Naruto reacted and chucked Percy to the entrance of the cave where Annabeth grabbed him and they got a hold of another stalactite while he stuck to the ground with chakra and made his way towards them. When Naruto was able to reach them they made a break for it and ran out of the cave. What the hell was that? Another of your grandpa's pet. Percy shouted when they made it back to the fields. No, something worse, far worse than any monster and even far older and stronger. Percy, that was the entrance to Tartarus. Naruto said with a somber look. Come on, my grandpa's castle is near, we will have to go through Persephone's garden, so be mindful and don't even touch anything 8. He said and without another word made his way to the garden they could see in the distance. After walking through the garden and Naruto stopping Percy more than once of trying to grab and examine one of the fruits, they made it to the castle. Percy whistled at the huge-ass door and the drawings it had on it, while Annabeth was astounded by the craftsmanship. Naruto chuckled at their reactions and just pushed it to walk towards the throne they could see at the end of the hall. "So you have finally arrived, him?" They heard someone say when they had walked half of the room. "Did you stop by his house to say hi or something?" Percy and Annabeth turned around trying to find where the voice was coming. Naruto just chuckled at his grandfather's antics. He stepped forward and said, "No, but someone tried to suck us into his house. I was able to stop it, but I think we have been tricked." He finished, making both Annabeth and Percy to turn around and watch as Hades' figure appeared sighted on his throne. Percy decided it was his turn to act and stepped forward and addressed Hades. "Lord Hades, uncle, please, I come to you with two propositions," he said, making Hades turn his gaze towards him and narrowing his eyes. "What are these demands, son of Poseidon? Are you here to blackmail me in name of your father so that I support him in the war he caused by stealing the Master Bolt?" Hades roared, making the room tremble a bit. Annabeth leaned a bit on Naruto, who wrapped his arm around her to try and comfort her. She snuggled a bit into his warm embrace. "No, that's not it. Give back the Master Bolt to me, let me take it back to Olympus, and let me have my mother back," Percy replied, getting a bit angry at how his father was being accused of something he never did. Hades was getting angrier and angrier the more Percy talked about how he should give back the bolt and let his mother go. He summoned a golden orb to his hand and let it drop. When it touched the ground, it exploded in a shower of light. When the light faded, Percy's eyes widened at the sight. His mother, frozen at the time the Minotaur crushed her throat. "You want her, don't you?" Percy heard Hades say. He couldn't speak, he was so close. His mom was but an arm's length away from him. He could grab her and make a break for it, hoping that Naruto and Annabeth were behind him. "Give me back my helm and I will let her go," Hades said while resting on his throne. "Wow, wait. What do you mean by give me back my helm? Was it stolen too?" Naruto asked out of the blue, drawing attention to himself. "You could have told me, or mom, you know we would have helped you find it. I understand you don't trust the other Olympians, but you can trust mom and me," he finished with a sad look. "I didn't want to burden your mom with this, Naruto. She was already busy trying to find the damn Master Bolt when it is finally here," Hades said while glancing towards Percy, more importantly to the duffel bag. "Percy, give me the duffel bag right now," Naruto said and started walking towards Percy, who took the bag from his shoulder like it was on fire. When Naruto reached it and opened it, he gasped and showed its contents to the rest of the occupants. The Master Bolt was in the duffel bag that Ares had given them. "Percy, prepare the pearls. Annabeth, take the duffel bag. Do not, I repeat, do not let go of it for an instant. Grandpa, get Electo and her sister to Santa Monica right now. I will get the helm back," Naruto said while he tried to come up with both an explanation to why Ares acted the way he did and a battle plan. Percy pulled the pearls from his pocket and gave one to Annabeth and the other to Naruto. He turned towards the throne when he heard the flapping of wings and turned to see Mrs. Dodds. He avoided her look till he heard she had flown away. "I hope you return her, Grandpa. He is getting back your helm. Well, at least he is helping," Naruto said and pointed towards Percy's mom. Hades just nodded and waved him away. They broke the pearls and saw how they were inside bubbles and rising quite fast towards the cavernous ceiling. "Well, the good news is that we made it out of the underworld, thanks to Poseidon's gift. The bad part is that we are in the middle of the fucking ocean," Annabeth said while clinging to Naruto, enough to stay close to him but not drown him, and in the process her. The fact that she could feel the muscles under his wet shirt was just a bonus. "Easy, Annie, we are close to the Santa Monica beach and a police boat is coming this way," Naruto said with a reassuring smile, trying to not show his blush by holding Annabeth against his body. When the police finally dropped them by the beach and left grumbling about multiple distress calls and stupid kids trying to swim with all their clothes, one Naruto unsealed Kubikiri and walked towards the hulking form they could see by the road. "So you tried to start a war?" Naruto said casually like he was talking about the weather. Ares just smirked while twirling a ski cap on one of his fingers. "Family war, the best kind of war that can happen, kid," Ares said with a smirk. "It was all perfectly planned. You guys go down to the underworld and you get a present, the Master Bolt, right in your lap. Well, Poseidon and Zeus are fighting. All Corpse Breath is looking for this little nifty thing," he said and tossed the ski cap. When he caught it again, they saw the same logo Naruto carried on some of his shirts. "Unfortunately, you went and screwed it up by getting out alive," he finished and pulled a bat from his back. Percy exploded with rage. It was all Ares' fault. He started shouting at the war god, making them start arguing. When Ares said that he wasn't being controlled by dreams, Percy smirked and said that he never mentioned the dreams. Ares fumed and decided to end it all. "Okay, enough of this, now I will have to kill you three, nothing personal, just business," and summoned a huge boar made out of sand. Said boar charged towards Percy that was close by the sea, and when he dodged its charge he drowned it. Percy brandished his sword towards Ares in challenge, making the god chuckle and transform his bat to a double-edged double-bladed sword. Old style it is then punk. And Percy charged recklessly. Keep an eye on Percy, I will go get the helm back. Naruto said, and before Annabeth could answer him he wrapped himself in darkness and walked towards the bike. He was so focused on the helm that he never sensed the flying body that crashed into him. Naruto looked up and saw Percy, knocked out and cut pretty bad. He turned his sights towards Ares and saw the god in a bit better shape than his friend, but enough to make a difference. Enough of this. Ares, I challenge you to a duel. The winner takes both the Helm of Darkness and the Master Bolt. Naruto shouted towards Ares. Annabeth widened her eyes at the words her crush was saying. Was he insane? Probably. Would he be okay? She wasn't so sure, she just hoped that Kurama would help with any serious wounds. And so you did learn something from both your mom and grandpa. I, Ares, god of war, accept the terms of your challenge. Ares said while brandishing his sword and getting into a quick stance where he could both defend with ease and attack faster. Naruto grabbed Kubikiri handle and brought it forth, the Stygian iron shining with malice. Let's dance was the only thing Naruto said before disappearing in a blur of speed. Annabeth tried to follow his movements, but she was unable. She decided to get Percy out of the line of fire and dragged him towards the pier she was standing and lowered him to the water a bit. Ares was focusing all his senses to find the blonde demigod. He had sparred with him several times and he was impressed by the progress and the forms the kid could pull off. He raised his sword to stop a vertical swing and smirked when he saw the determined look Naruto had. In that moment he swore on the sticks, even if he lost to the blonde he wouldn't curse him, he rather liked the way he fought. But he would still curse that damn sea spawn, not even challenging him to make it official. Disrespectful brats the lot. Naruto brought his sword back and tried to bisect Ares by the waist. Again his attack was parried by the more experienced god. He jumped back to catch some breath and think of another plan. That plan was tossed to the trash when Ares decided to go on the offensive with a thrust, the same thrust Claris always started her spear attacks. He deflected the tip and tried to do an upward slash. Successful attack, yet only cloth was cut from said counter. Ares jumped back to examine the cut. He smirked at his shirt, a clean cut, would had cut through a mortal or any monster, but against an experienced warrior a simple step back and just his shirt was damaged. Congratulations, you finally damaged my clothes. In our other spars you barely ever came close to do something like that. Ares said with a smirk. Naruto just smirked back and set himself in another stance. They surged forwards with as much speed as they could muster, both with a cross-swing trying to cut from the shoulder to the hip. They passed by the other and stood facing opposite from their opponent. Annabeth, Percy, the Furies and the gods at Olympus that summoned an IM when they heard the challenge and decided to let both the camp and the hunters, stared with wide eyes and bated breath. Ares chuckled lowly, the kid was good, damn good. He turned slowly and let his chest exposed, a giant cut going from his right hip to his left shoulder was visible, dripping a bit of golden ichor. He started laughing louder. Naruto was panting. The only thing that kept him going was Kurama and the adrenaline he had coursing through his veins. It took a lot of chakra to attack Ares. He turned insane with Ares. His shirt was shredded by the fight and his chest was exposed. He had a deep cut from the left hip to his right shoulder. He saw Ares had a matching wound and that he was laughing loudly. You finally did it, kid, you finally cut me with your own power, impressive. Ares sat and felt the cut heal slowly. I concede defeat. He said, and suddenly he stopped in his tracks, fell to his knees, while a dark mist swirled from his mouth out and dispersed in the wind. Naruto and Kurama could feel the negative emotions the mist contained. Before he could do anything he fell to his knees too and saw Annabeth and Percy rush to his side. You did good, Naruto, but you Percy Jackson, I curse you, when you need it the most your sword will fail you and you will remember me. Pray that Naruto is by your side to save your hide. Ares said at first with a laugh and when his eyes landed on Percy, they turned to stone. After his curse was said he started glowing and disappeared in a flash. After they gave the helm to Alecto, who flew away after giving a warning to Percy to become a true hero or she would haunt him for all the afterlife. They saw that they had to get the bolt to New York by that evening. Percy was a rather good actor, using pity and saying that his stepfather Gabe Ugliano would reward any that helped them to get to New York by that time. Naruto and Annabeth sat by either side of Percy to keep him relaxed. Every turbulence made the kid shiver. After several hours of flight they finally landed. Naruto made some clones that looked like Percy and sent them to distract the media that was waiting for them at the airport. When they finally made it outside, Naruto created another clone and told Annabeth to take a cab to camp. She wanted to protest, but a look from Naruto made her calm down. He got close to her ear and whispered, I have to go and deliver a report of what happened, Annie. Don't worry, I will meet you at the foot of the tree at our place. Making Annabeth blush and nod, wishing them luck. Percy and Naruto hopped in a different cab and drove towards the Empire State. They arrived and walked towards the front desk. "We would like to see Zeus, we have something that belongs to him," Naruto said while bringing forth a duffel bag and opening it enough to let the Master Bolt be visible. The guard paid considerable and gave them the access key and told them to make sure that they were the only ones in the elevator. When they made it to the elevator and made sure that there was no one else in it, Naruto put the key in and pressed a button that had the number 300. Percy was in awe. After a stressing elevator ride with horrible music, they finally made it to the top. When he stepped out of the elevator with Naruto, his breath hitched. It was a beautiful sight, nymphs and minor gods, the muses, satyrs selling things. It was beautiful. He followed Naruto to the biggest building in sight while they walked by several minor gods and nymphs pointed at them. The satyrs and more nymphs walked up to Naruto to greet him and he did the same, always with a smile. They finally made it to the throne room after Naruto made a pit stop with the muses to talk a bit to them before their concert. When they made it in, Percy almost fell. The room made Grand Central Station look like a broom closet. At the end of the throne room, two beings were seated at their own unique thrones. One was made of marble and looked regal, while the other one looked like a deep-sea fishing chair. They walked towards them. Naruto bowed to the two gods, first the one in the marble throne and then to the one in the deep-sea fishing chair. Percy felt drawn to the god that had a Hawaiian shirt and smile wrinkles. He recognized the black hair and sea green eyes, the same eyes and hair he saw every morning in the mirror. "Father," he said while bowing to him. "Shouldn't you address the lord of the house first, boy?" He heard from his right. "Peace, brother," he defers to his father first. The one in front of him said. Percy got up and bowed to the now identified Zeus. They asked him what happened and if he thought that Ares was to blame for the thefts. "I can answer the second part, Gramps," Naruto said while putting a hand on Percy's shoulder, letting him know that he had his back. "Well then, answer me, kid," Zeus said while grumbling about disrespectful brats. "I think he was being controlled by him," Naruto said and got narrowed eyes for his trouble. Poseidon and Zeus discussed in ancient Greek, making Percy confused and Naruto to stop listening to the discussion. After a few minutes, Zeus left to purify his Master Bolt and Percy left to talk to his father, leaving Naruto to wander around for a bit. A few minutes later of playing with the muses, he saw Percy storm out of the throne room and towards the elevator. He rushed after him. "So where to now?" Naruto asked while they rode the elevator down. "We go to my apartment. My dad told me that my mom was finally home, that Hades made true to his word," Percy said and hopped into a cab followed by Naruto. After a teary reunion with his mom, Percy and Naruto made their way towards camp. They arrived to see Annabeth sitting at the base of the tree, along with Chiron and Grover. Naruto and Percy made their way towards them. When Annabeth spotted them, she rushed to meet them. When she was close to Naruto, she launched herself to him, making Naruto stumble a bit to catch her and embrace her. Chiron and Grover chuckled at the sight while they trotted towards Percy. When they passed the border, they were greeted by cheers from the campers. Naruto was heard over the crowd, making everybody shut up. They saw Claris walk forwards to her best friend. "The Ares cabin would like to thank you for what you did for our father," Claris said and shook Naruto's hand. "It was nothing, and I was finally able to cut him," Naruto said with a smirk and laughed at the cheers from the Ares cabin. "What concerns about you, Jackson? We still don't like you," Claris said with a glare, making Percy back off a bit. He knew they would be pissed for a while, but Naruto assured him that by next summer they would forget about it. "Congratulations to our first heroes to come back from a quest in 3 years," Chiron said, making the rest of the camp cheer. Their respective cabins hoisted them up and walked them towards the amphitheater where they would burn their shrouds. Percy was carried by the Hermes cabin while the Apollo cabin carried Naruto, in name of both Artemis and Apollo. Annabeth's shroud was a beautiful silver with an owl emblazoned on it, and when Percy commented that it would be a shame that she wouldn't be able to burn with it, he got a punch to the shoulder and a laugh for his troubles. Percy's shroud was made by the Ares cabin. It was a simply red cloth with smiley faces with crosses by eyes and the word loser on it. Percy had a great time burning it. Naruto's shroud was brought by Hermes himself, saying that the hunters had made it when they heard of his quest by Artemis. It was onyx black color with the symbols of both Artemis and Hades in silver, and he saw the Konoha symbol he had in his hit II-8. He saw the craftsmanship of Phoebe and Ino's design. He loved it and burned it with pride. After a few hours of celebrating, Naruto was pushed to the stage along with his cousins from the Apollo cabin. He saw the way the campers looked at him and he smiled and unsealed his guitar. "Alright, this is for those that have gone on a quest," Naruto said and turned to tell his cousins which song. When they finished, the rest of the campers cheered for another one. They finished the songs and thanked them. They left the stage to let the rest of the Apollo cabin play. Naruto walked through the campers till he saw the gray eyes of Annabeth talking to some of her siblings about the quest. "Mind if I steal your sister for a while?" Naruto said while grabbing Annabeth's hand. He walked to the center of the amphitheater and started to slow dance. Annabeth was blushing like a tomato, but had a huge smile on her face. She was dancing with her crush. She knew that the next morning both her cabin and the Aphrodite cabin would hound her for details. "How do you feel?" Naruto asked, trying to hide his blush from Annabeth. "Perfect now that we are back. And that you are completely healed. I hope that next summer is as great and interesting as this one." Annabeth answered and put her head on his chest. She could feel both the lighting scar he got from his friend back home and the scar that Ares had left him. "You still plan on trying to give them a shot, don't you?" Naruto asked out of the blue. Annabeth just nodded and kept her head down. She felt a finger under her chin and turned to see Naruto's onyx and silver eyes. Gods, how she loved to see those eyes. "You are doing the right thing, and if you are not feeling that well, just I am and I will be there in a flash," Naruto said and smiled. They stayed that way for a few minutes until Naruto was dragged to the stage for one final song. He dragged Lee and Michael Yu, another of his cousins, to the stage and unsealed his acoustic guitar, making Lee get his and Michael get near one of the mics. The camp cheered and they grumbled when Mr. D told them to go to bed. The last month of camp came and went so fast for Percy and Naruto that they were surprised by the notes left by their bed one morning asking if they would stay and if so to let Mr. D or Chiron know before the cleaning harpies ate them. Naruto was at the big house playing with Chiron and Mr. D a game of pinochle and Annabeth was talking to them. Percy went to the woods with Luke. Naruto's suspicions grew over the last month, with Luke distancing himself from the rest of the camp and his siblings. So Naruto had a clone trailing after them. After winning another hand and Mr. D cursing about his luck, he felt his clone dispel with the memories of the talk Luke had with Percy, the confession of siding with Kronos, and leaving after he poisoned Percy with a pit scorpion. He saw his clone break the line of the woods and rushing towards them. "Chiron prepared the antidote for pit scorpion venom. Luke has betrayed us for Kronos," Naruto said with a grim face. Chiron just nodded while Mr. D left to Olympus to inform of their discovery, while Annabeth clung to Naruto's shirt crying and trying to come to terms with Luke's treachery. "Annie, relax, we will hunt him down and bring him in to question his motives," Naruto tried to comfort her. "I knew something was wrong since his quest 3 years ago. I tried to talk to him and see what was wrong, but he shut me out and then you came and you made me smile again and after a few times of talking to him, you warned me about this. I didn't want to believe you. I'm sorry, Whiskers." Annabeth cried in his shirt. Naruto just rubbed her back and made soothing sounds. He knew about that. Percy must be awake now and your father will be here soon." Naruto hugged her to his chest and got up and walked towards the infirmary, with Annabeth drying her tears and calming down, letting her analytic mind take over. After Percy woke and told them in detail what happened between him and Luke, Naruto walked Annabeth towards Thalia's tree. "Remember, I am me if you want me to come pick you up, okay?" Naruto said while grabbing Annabeth's hand and her luggage in the other. Annabeth smiled and nodded. Meet them, my dad wants to meet you," Annabeth said with a grin and dragging Naruto towards where her dad and stepmother were waiting with 2 younger sons. "Dad, this is Naruto. Naruto, meet my dad," Annabeth said with a grin at Naruto's nervousness. "A pleasure, sir," Naruto said while shaking Annabeth's dad's hand and swallowing a bit of saliva. Annabeth's dad smiled and introduced the rest of Annabeth's stepfamily to Naruto. After the pleasantries he asked who were Naruto's parents. "My dad was Minato Namikaze, my mom is Artemis," Naruto said with a grin at the gobsmacked faces of the Chase family. "Well, we have to go to avoid traffic, Whiskers. Take care and say hi to your mom and your sisters for me, okay?" Annabeth asked while hugging Naruto. When they separated and they started to load on the car, Annabeth turned around and gave Naruto a kiss on his cheek, making the blonde hunter blush and wave with a hand while the other was holding his cheek with a goofy smile. Naruto was walking in the woods near Colorado. He was finally going back to his mom's camp. When he arrived, he saw all the hunters pitching tents around a fire while others were feeding the wolves and falcons. He walked to the largest tent in the center of the camp. "I'm home, Mom," he said to the auburn-haired girl that was sitting around a table talking to her lieutenants. "Welcome home, honey. How is your new scar holding up?" Chapter 6. The Poison Tree. Annabeth was running as fast as her legs could carry her. Her summer started quite well. Her father and stepmother tried to understand her and what would happen if she stayed there. At first everything was going well, but several monsters had attacked her home. "Honey, I think you should go back to camp. You are in much more danger here," her father told her one night with a deep sadness in his eyes. Her stepmother just cried a bit. She tried to get to know Annabeth better and she started to like the young blonde. Annabeth just nodded and hugged both adults. She made an IM call to Naruto, who told her that he would meet her halfway to camp since his mother's camp was there. She packed her kunai knives and her dagger and saw that no monster was near. She hugged her parents one more time and sprinted away into the night. From there on, her whole 2-day trip went downhill. Hordes of hellhounds, Stymphalian birds, and a couple of harpies had tried to kill her. Fortunately she was elusive and managed to surprise the monsters chasing her. She could hear laughter in the clearing ahead, she had seen a couple of silver falcons and knew she was near. She sprinted and broke through the line. Only to be pounced on by a wolf who was snarling for a second until a hand was put in his head and another hand thrust in her face. "Well, I didn't expect you here so early, Annie." She heard the voice of her crush. She smiled when the wolf licked her face and got of her chest. "Well, I was being hunted by several hellhounds and I wanted to be safe for a while," Annabeth said and slapped her best friend Crush in the arm. She stared deeply into his mismatched eyes that had captivated her since she first laid eyes on the older blonde. She could have stayed in his embrace all night if it wasn't for another blonde who pounced on her back when she spotted her. Annabeth smiled at the chatterbox that was Ino, who grabbed her hand and dragged her from her comfortable place in Naruto's arms. She could have sworn that when she left his arms Naruto looked sad to let her go. Naruto was happy that Annabeth got to the camp safely. Now they could make their way to Camp Half-Blood together. He hoped she had missed his sadness when she left with Ino. "What troubles the little brother?" Zoe asked her brother. She knew about his infatuation with the young daughter of Athena and she approved of the girl for her brother. "Nothing Zoe, just nervousness, I have a bad feeling for the summer," Naruto told his oldest sister. Zoe simply nodded and pulled her fist back and lightly bonked Naruto. "Don't think about that now, just be thy usual self and smile, little Moonray," Zoe said with a chuckle. "Let's go, you have archery practice with thy mother," she said and walked to the central tent. "I'm not little anymore," Naruto shouted and followed his sister with a smile. A few days later the hunt had made their way near to New York to get Annabeth and Naruto as close as possible to camp. Annabeth enjoyed her time with the hunt but wished she could have a time off with only Naruto. The next day Naruto and Annabeth left the hunt and made their way to camp. Fortunately for Annabeth, no more hellhounds attacked and not that many monsters tried to kill them. A few days later they made it to the border of camp to a shocking discovery. Dahlia's tree was dying, Annabeth gasped and seemed to be on the verge of tearing up. Naruto grabbed her and hugged her to his chest while she wept and slapped his chest, mumbling why. Naruto made his way to the big house carrying Annabeth, who was still crying. "Mr. D, Chiron, what happened to the tree?" Naruto asked after he set Annabeth in a chair in front of the director. "It's been poisoned, I still haven't found by what, but I fear who did it," Chiron said softly and with regret in his eyes. Mr. D tried to look bored but they could still see he was affected. "It was Luke, wasn't he?" Annabeth asked after she managed to control her tears. "That is still unknown. Annabeth, I have a mission for you. Last night I talked to Sally, Percy's mom, and asked her to try and keep Percy away. I fear he won't listen to either of us. Please go to his school tomorrow and bring him here," Chiron said, trying to get Annabeth out of her funk. "Let's go, Whiskers, we have a seaweed brain to pick," Annabeth said and was about to leave when Mr. D interrupted her. "I need Naruto to stay and patrol the border with his abilities. He is the best suited for it and maybe he can identify the venom used on her," Mr. D said, shocking both Annabeth and Naruto to see that Mr. D cared enough about them to set a patrol. "Get going, Annabelle." Annabeth just nodded, hugged Naruto and sprinted away. She knew that school let out tomorrow, so she would pick him up then. She also knew that it would take her time to make it to his school. Naruto accompanied her to the border and said goodbye and hugged her. While she ran towards the road, Naruto prayed to both his mother and uncle to watch over her trip along with Hermes and Athena. He turned around to the tree, creating several clones and started to inspect it while his clones unsealed bows, arrows, kunais, shurikens, while he kept Kubikiri with him. A few minutes later half the Ares cabin and half the Apollo cabin came to him. Lee and Clara stepped up. "Where do you need us?" his best friend asked him. "Squads of 4, one of my clones, 2 Ares, 1 Apollo. Balanced squads," Naruto said while going over his poisons and antidotes kits he got from Apollo. "You heard the demon move it?" Clarice and Lee shouted at the same time while the campers scampered off to separate in balanced squads. Naruto chuckled lightly, hear him being called a demon wasn't an insult thrown at him except for the monsters. Clarice and Ares had given him the moniker after they had a mini quest from Ares, who wanted to test both. "What do you think it is, Kurama?" "I think it must be a combination of several of the deadliest venoms in the world or the oldest of venoms in time. Well, there is only one cure for this and it is practically impossible to find. It been lost for quite a while now." Naruto cut the connection to Kurama when Chiron asked him what he thought of the venom. "It is either one of the oldest venoms in time or a combination of the deadliest venoms known to both gods or mortals. I'm leaning more to the oldest, deepest part of Tartarus," Naruto said with controlled hatred. Chiron just nodded and was about to leave when a bolt of lightning fell near them. "Chiron, trainer of heroes, Camp Half-Blood Activities Director, you have been removed from your positions because of your inability to protect the demigods," Zeus bellowed when the lightning stopped. Chiron bowed while Naruto just stared, impassive. Tantalus will be the new activities director. This is my command. You have until tomorrow to leave. He said and left as quick as he came. Tyron just sighed and trotted to his office to rest. He would pack tomorrow. Naruto just stared at the place where Zeus was standing seconds ago. He was pissed at the god of the sky, but managed to rein in his temper. He made his way to the arena to release his rage against the dummies. A few hours later he heard a horn call and saw the rest of the Ares and Apollo cabin leave to the pine tree while the other group was explaining the system. The satyr came up to him and bowed with nervousness leaking out of his every pore at the presence of the son of Hunt. Excuse me, sir. Lord Dionysius asked for your presence at the big house. The young satyr said while bowing a bit. Thanks, what's your name? Naruto said while putting Kubikiri in his holster. It is Yuzukuro. The now identified Yuzukuro said. Thanks, I'll be going. Naruto said and made his way to the big house where Mr. D was talking to a pale man who was wearing a grey prison uniform. Thanks for joining us, Naruto. Mr. D said to the blonde and turned to talk to the man. This is him, Tantalus. The one you wanted to talk to. He finished. The man turned and grinned towards Naruto, a sick grin that reminded Naruto of the look that some of the villagers would get when pissed drunk and tried to attack him when he was younger, or was it more of the grin a rapist got when he was about to attack? You're the young one that forced the Ares and Apollo campers to guard the tree. Tantalus said with a sickly voice. He grabbed the goblet that was in front of him and asked for root beer. He was about to grab it when said goblet moved away from his reach. He tried to grab it again and the same thing happened. A few tries later he gave up and returned his attention to Naruto. So, the spawn of the moon and a demon thinks he can order the campers around him. Tantalus said with a sneer. Mr. D was about to intervene in the name of admittedly his favorite camper when he saw the look Naruto got on his eyes. You should be careful, Kyuubi, we wouldn't want for your little secret to get out, do we? He continued, ignoring the feeling of dread that started to seep in his skin. He never expected for a claw made of shadows to grab him by the neck. You better be careful, prisoner. You don't want to test me, the grandson of Hades, do you? The consequences might not be worth it. Naruto said with a glare, making his silver eye to glow menacingly while his obsidian black eye to darken and releasing an ominous aura. You have no power over me, Tantalus. I don't respect you, I don't like you, and I can't stand you. Don't antagonize me. Don't try to order me around and stay clear from me or my friends. You won't like me when I get angry and you will fear me if I get pissed. Are we clear? Naruto said while putting pressure on Tantalus' neck. Tantalus only managed to nod an affirmative when Naruto let go. I've narrowed down the possibilities of the poison to 2. Naruto said while looking at Mr. D, who nodded and signaled him to continue. Either the combination of the deadliest venoms in the world or one that is so old it was forgotten by time. Naruto said, getting a shocked look from Mr. D. Very well, tell the border squads to stay alert and if they choose to, food will be delivered to them. Mr. D said while thinking over what the blonde said. That won't be necessary, my clones will keep an eye out during meals to give them time to rest. Claris and Lee set up a schedule for patrols. Naruto informed, making Mr. D nod again and to dismiss him. Naruto turned around and made his way to the dining pavilion. While Tantalus was being warned about not trying to pull a stunt like that again. I warned you, Tantalus, that Naruto is the most powerful demigod we have right now. He commands respect from the other campers because of his strength and charisma. Be careful. Mr. D said and left to eat. Tantalus stayed in the big house to rest. The next morning Naruto was with Claris and Lee standing guard while their brothers and sisters were having breakfast. I don't like Tantalus. He gives me a bad vibe. Lee said while munching on some eggs. He tried to stop me from coming here this morning. He tried to suck up to me, he said that because of my father, I shouldn't be taking orders from nobody. Clara said after she finished a strip of bacon. The fool thinks that if he sucks up to me I will put a good word for him with father or something. She grunted in annoyance. Let him be, he is in no position of power, whatever decision he makes must be approved by Mr. D before he can do shit. Naruto said while his companions looked at him. I just hope that Percy can keep his anger in check around him. He muttered, getting a nod from Lee and a snort. Percy will do something stupid this summer. Clara said with a laugh. Either because Tantalus baited him or something. The morning passed by without incidents. When the change of patrol came, Naruto blew the horn and he saw the campers go back to camp until he heard a cry. 2 mechanical bulls were charging towards the border where the campers were leaving. Fuck. Colchis bulls. This is going to be tough. Lee sound the alarm horn. Claris organize a defense line. Naruto shouted while pulling Kubikiri from his holster. What about you? Lee and Clara said at the same time. I'll buy you time. And he ran to meet the charging bulls. One managed to evade Naruto's swings while the other charged straight for the blonde. Naruto was surprised that his blade was stopped by the armor the bull had and was thrown away by the force. Very well, cow, let's dance. Naruto said and charged again while making hand signs. Suiton. Sudurian no Jutsu. Naruto spat a huge water dragon to the bull, crashing into it and stopping it in its tracks, steaming. He saw that the bull stopped in its tracks and saw a grey taxi come crashing from the road, and Annabeth, Percy and the Cyclops got out of the car. Percy ignored the blonde and ran towards the tree where Clarice was trying to maintain a shield formation. "Watch out." Percy shouted, distracting Clarice, who turned looking for the source of the noise, and when she turned back it was too late and the bull was crashing her phalanx formation, scattering the campers and hurting Clarice a bit. Percy grabbed the back of Clarice's armor and dragged her towards the pine. Naruto returned his attention to his bull when he instinctively dodged left when he felt the heat of the charge. He saw the bull to spout flames from its mouth. Suiton. Water bullets. He rushed through his hand signs and spat a big water ball that collided with the flames, causing mist to form. "Kurigaku no Jutsu," he said above a whisper, but to everybody else they heard it clear as day. The Ares and Apollo campers that were fighting or pulling other from the fight let a breath they didn't know they were holding. Annabeth, Lee and Clarice smiled or smirked. Percy was still fighting the other bull with the Cyclops when he heard it and saw the mist roll in and settle. Everybody closed their eyes and listened to clangs around the mist. A minute later the mist started to lift and all everybody saw were the two bulls still standing until they fell and turned to golden dust except two plates. Naruto walked up to the plates and picked them up. He walked towards the pine while Annabeth, Clarice and Percy were arguing. "You fool. Next time don't try to save me." Clarice shouted and left to check on her siblings. "Why did you let a Cyclops cross the border, Annie?" Naruto asked to his crush. "He got attached to Seaweed Brain, I let him in to save him, it was the only way for Percy to still be alive." Annabeth answered and walked to be hugged by the older blonde. "Oh, Percy, get over here, Tantalus wants to talk to you." Clarice hollered to the trio. "Who is Tantalus?" Percy asked to the blonde duo. "The new activities director." Naruto answered, getting gasps from Annabeth and Percy, while the Cyclops looked around in awe. Naruto had nothing against Cyclops, they were good metal workers and allies, but they could be childish a lot of times. And he also knew why Annabeth tried to put Naruto and Percy in between her and the Cyclops. "And you better be in your best behavior, son of the sea, or your stay this year won't be as pleasant as last year." Naruto warned the boy with a glare that sent shivers down the spine of Percy. "First go talk to Chiron." Halfway to the big house, Naruto and Clarice left the group to check on the injured campers. "We will talk about what happened to you later, Annie," Naruto said with a soft smile while holding on to Annabeth's hand, who nodded her head and made her way to Chiron's office, followed by Percy and the Cyclops. That night at the dinner pavilion everybody was talking about the attack that happened before Percy arrived and the monster Annabeth and Percy allowed to get in the camp. Percy walked up to the head table where Mr. D was talking with Tantalus. "This is the barnacle brain I was telling you about," Mr. D said when Percy neared them. "Ah yes, the one that saved Olympus last year. I would say it is a pleasure, but I don't like you." Tantalus sneered. If he couldn't make the grandson of his torturer miserable, he would make the spawn of the sea, God regret ever been bored. Percy glared and asked, "Who are you?" "I am Tantalus, I'll be the activities director until my Lord Dionysius says otherwise," Tantalus said with a malicious grin. Percy wanted to deck the guy right in the nose for just the aura he let out. Percy addressed Mr. D with a glare. "What are we to do about the tree?" he asked with a glare towards the camp director. "Naruto has already set a patrol along with the Ares cabin and the Apollo cabin and is working on identifying the poison." Mr. D answered, clipped, and then sneered towards Percy, who just glared back. "Now run along, your table is over there where nobody wants to sit," Tantalus said with a smirk. When Percy motioned for Tyson to follow him, his smirk got uglier. "I don't think so, that beast will stay here, maybe I will let it loose in the woods and have the campers hunt it down," he said while he tried to stealthily reach for a rib. Until everybody saw a trident appearing over the young Cyclops' head, a green trident. "Well, now I know where to put the beast. Oh my, I can actually see the family resemblance," Tantalus said with a laugh, prompting the rest of the camp to laugh out loud while pointing towards Percy and Tyson. The campers kept on laughing except Lee, Clarice, Annabeth and Naruto. That is until they felt their air supply starting to diminish quite rapidly. Everybody started looking around with wild eyes for the source of the ominous presence, and their eyes widened when they saw a deathly aura surrounding Naruto, giving it the shape of a demonic fox. "So, you think it is funny, eh?" Naruto asked softly. He turned his gaze to every camper that laughed, making them shiver in fear. His coal black eye had turned a lava red color with a slit in it, looking like his grandfather's eyes, while his silver eye seemed to shine even more brightly. "So, you like to laugh about someone else because they are different. And here I thought that we were all family, very well, the next person to laugh about them will have to face me in the arena, no holds barred." Naruto said with a growl and glared to those campers that laughed, making several of them gulp, while some girls in the Aphrodite cabin started rubbing their thighs together. After the dinner was finished, Tantalus got up and cleared his throat. Another fine meal, or so your faces tell me, now for some announcements. First, chariot racing is coming back even though there were some little accidents before it was cancelled. He said and ignored the shout from the Apollo cabin. Second, the border patrol shall stop, since there is no need for them anymore. Tantalus continued until he saw Claris get up with a snarl in her face. You saw what happened this afternoon, if it wasn't for the border patrol the camp would have been overrun by the Colchis bulls, Claris said, while some in the Aphrodite cabin laugh at the sign that someone put on her back with the legend Yumu girl. It is not necessary for the sons and daughters of both Apollo and Ares to listen to a camper with delusions of grandeur. Tantalus said with a dismissive wave of his hand towards Naruto who sat with his back to him, ignoring everybody. Now it is time for the campfire, run along. And he left the pavilion never seeing the dark looks he received from the Ares, Apollo, Poseidon, Athena, and Artemis stables. At night no camper slept since they could hear a sad tone coming from the tree, where every camper could see a shadow sitting next to Thalia's tree. Naruto sat all night playing a soft tune on his guitar, while Claris and Lee sat around him chatting or keeping an eye on the patrols. The next morning Percy woke up and went to the Thalia's tree, where he could see Annabeth talking with Claris, while some children of Apollo were with Naruto, trying to find an antidote for the poison in the tree. Listen to me Annabeth, I want you to take care of both Percy and Naruto, they are both important to the camp. Chiron said while giving Argus his carry-on. Annabeth just nodded with tears in her eyes. Chiron turned towards Claris with a soft smile. And you Claris protect the camp, I know you can do it, give everything to do so. Chiron said and turned his wheelchair and wheeled away. Percy just watched his mentor leave and turned where Naruto and some Apollo campers were poring over ancient texts. Percy walked towards the blonde and greeted him. Hey Naruto, are we still on for sword fighting? Percy asked with a small smile when the two other campers just nodded to him and suddenly passed him a book. You two can go, but first you have to help us identify the mixes. We don't know if it is ancient or not but still. The Apollo camper said with a grin. Michael you, meet Percy Jackson, one of the two specialists in poisons from the Apollo cabin. Naruto said while taking away the scroll Percy was trying to read, the key word being trying, cause the text was complete gibberish to him. The pattern of Naruto or Michael giving and taking away a scroll which he could barely understand. At one point Annabeth joined them, while Clara stood guard with the rest of her cabin and some of the Apollo cabin. Percy felt like hours had gone by and said he would go looking for Tyson, who had wandered off after breakfast to do gods know what. He was waved off by the other four campers with a nod, and Naruto said that tomorrow they would be up again at the crack of dawn to train like they did last year, before and after the quest.